why don't you give us a good intro about who you are, where you're from?
Okay, so I am from South Africa. So my name's Philip Krüger. I was born and raised in South Africa. So we live out in an area called Always. It's pretty much the northern part of South Africa, literally on a map, probably as north as you can go. And I've been hunting and guiding and pretty much grew up that part of the country for pretty much my whole life.
So the guiding part, obviously, I guide here in the U.S. It's wild here. I could only imagine, because I've only been to Africa once, and it was the wildest time of my life. How did you get into guiding? Like, is that a family-run business?
Yeah, so what happened is, so I was fortunate enough, my dad was in the police, and we grew up in an area called Polokwane. And my dad grew up, he was station commander in an area called Leopard. And pretty much in Leopard there's a lot of hunting. So as a kid growing up, my dad and them, they used to hunt pretty much on a daily basis. And they grew up pretty much on the Limpopo River. So there was a lot of farmers. My dad had a lot of access to a lot of farms. So we always used to go visit. And just started hunting from there. And then my dad, through the security, he then moved to Polokwane. And then from Polokwane, he bought a farm that was a weekend farm. And just went to visit, did some hunting there, and all of a sudden, the guy said, would my dad like to buy it? And my dad said, well, if he, 3 months from now, if it's still on the market, he'll buy it. So pretty much, it was supposed to be a weekend farm, then became a big
full-time
farm, and then every other year ended up expanding, and then became a big operation.
How many acres are you guys on now?
So the acres, probably in total, we own probably very close to about 33,000 acres.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a nice chunk.
Yeah.
Isn't that all high fence? There's a free range in it? How does that work?
So pretty much it's high fence. Most of everything in South Africa is high fence.
Yep.
But the area we are in was probably considered one of the wilder places in South Africa, because we still have your elephant coming through from Botswana.
Oh, okay.
Have your lions coming through, leopards, cheetah. So there's a lot of game that crosses back and forth.
So when I went to Africa, there was a huge stigma that I had this picture built in my mind about South Africa, because you hear some stories that was just, we drove around in this pin and we just drove the outside fence, and it was just all these horror stories. And then I ended up going in this outfit I went with. It was the greatest time. It was nothing of any of the stories that I've heard. And so when I came back, I had all these people asking me, they're like, man, how was it? And I think there's the American side of things. I don't know why, but it was everything how it was laid out was not how I've ever had it pictured or explained to me. And so, what's your largest chunk of? I mean, is it all consecutive? I mean, or you said you've been adding on, so you have different. What is it considered, a concession each one of them, or
pretty much? So in South Africa, I think that's one of the biggest things where people get confused. So I know back in the States, a ranch is considered, when it's something bigger. Back home, we'll talk about farms. Everything in South Africa is considered farms.
Okay.
Most of these farms are privately owned, and to get a big chunk of land is always the big challenge, because most farms in South Africa will be about 1,000 hectares. So you're looking at about 2,200, 2,500 acres will be a typical game farm in South Africa. But our piece of land now, if you take the whole block together, it's almost 175,000 acres. That's the block right next to us that we have all access to. But the one we actually own will be about 33,000.
Oh, so you have endless.
And the nice thing is it's right next to one another. So almost if you hunt wild Africa, it will be considered a concession. Okay. So that's why the concessions, there's a lot of people refer to it, but like I said, back home, it's considered farms.
So so you said you have leopards, lions, all the big stuff coming through. How does that work? Are they going under fences, or is some of it open and that's where you're able to hunt these? Because I know you guys have done a lot of baiting for leopards, lions, and it's a grind, because I've heard some of these stories, which I want to get into. But how does that work? I mean, are they raised in there? Are these free range that are moving through? Because I remember when they were talking to us, we went in some places and they were like, hey, if you see a leopard in here, like, it needs to go, kind of deal. And, I thought when we hear a high fence, it's buried in the ground like a lot of places out here in Texas. I mean, there was a large gap. I mean, where warhogs, there was stuff able to come and go as it wants. Obviously not the big animals, but I mean, there's a lot of trails going under these fences. Is that kind of what's happened with you guys, or?
So the thing is, the high fence, is something different because literally all the farms are high fenced in South Africa, and the main reason for that is everybody wants to protect their own. And I think what makes South Africa a little different than other countries is you own the land and you actually own all the animals on the land.
Got it. Okay.
So pretty much that's a way for people to protect their own, so the neighbor don't go and shoot all the stuff crossing back and forth. But the high fences can't keep everything in. So a lot of these places you'll have buffalo. Some of the guys will have their cattle ranches. So that's why everybody do their own thing. But you can never keep the animals in. So the warthogs are always digging holes, and that creates holes. And then if you close it today, the water will just go. It's just endless. You can do it every single day. They always find a way to go through.
Because it's pretty soft. I mean, it was like where we were, at least, it was like a reddish sand.
Yeah, so you get different, like I said, the whole country is kinds of terrain, but yeah, you get your red sand, you get your rocky areas. They dig in everything and they create a hole. And then pretty much that hole gets big enough and then leopard goes through. Then you get, lions crosses through. So pretty much it still creates a wild part. So
that's pretty cool.
In an area like us, we border Tuli block of Botswana.
Okay.
So literally probably some of the best plains game hunting you can find in all of South Africa will be up north. And then to have the river is where you probably create the best wild hunting you can still available in South Africa.
And you're doing crocs, hippos, everything on the river?
Yes.
I mean, all right, hippos. That's my dream. I want on land, charging, the whole deal. Is it as wild as it seems? Because what's his name? The guy, the famous. He's got all the hippo kills and
Mark Sullivan. Yeah.
Mark. So, is it everything? I mean, obviously, TV's TV. We know that. We've been around the game long enough. Is it as exciting, or is it just as much of a challenge shooting one in the water? Because that's like if it was like right now, if you can go, I'd be like hippo on land, just because of the challenge, the rush. I mean, and I watched some versus some guys that are in the water. They shoot them, and then I've seen where these guys can't even find them. So then you add that challenge to it as well. But how's hippo hunting, and what's it like guiding a client when you have? I mean, how much does a hippo weigh? How many thousands of pounds?
Hippos can be, they can weigh anything from, I want to say, 3,000 pounds to about 8,000 pounds. It depends which area and how big the bulls get, but they get very, very big.
That is massive.
So yeah, it's one huge animal. Yeah. So the thing is, for us, it's all about which area you hunt.
Okay.
A lot of places will allow you that you can only shoot in the water. So a lot of the guys will have a debate. You have to wait for it to get to land. Most of the hippos always get out of land, but they will only go out of land late in the afternoon, almost at nighttime. So they graze at nighttime, and then they will, be in water most of the daytime. So a lot of these concession places we're not allowed to shoot at night. So that creates that the guys have to shoot in water. So I think it's everybody's dream to shoot a hippo on land. So if it's in the right area and you get them, then it's one of the...
So you're pretty much catching them before they're coming back.
Correct. So if you have time and you spend it, then you'll create a moment where you can probably encounter one. And to get them on land, it's one scary big animal. And the thing is, I think what most people don't know, they're extremely fast. Hippos, they cover land really, really quickly. And if you're not ready, and just your branches break, and then all of a sudden it came barging at you, it's not a pretty sight.
I don't know if it was Ivan Carr. It was I don't know if it's Jim Shockey with it, somebody, but they were hunting, I want to say a hippo, and they were all looking one direction. And they hear like a branch break. And the whole entire time you could tell one of the trackers, he's in the video when you watch it back, he's looking like to the right. Everyone's looking forward. He just he's pinned. And you could tell his senses were kicking in, like once you watch it back. And I mean, you hear like one branch break and they turn. He's a famous PH. He's a big guy he's got like a buzzed head or a big head. I can't think of his name at the moment, but he turns. I mean, by the time he shoots that hippo, it's like at their feet. I mean, have you had any?
So the thing is, I think that's what makes Africa so unique is there's so much variety of stuff that happens in the bush that, I can go and shoot plains game bait for leopard hunts, and then all of a sudden I'm run into a group of 20 lions. So every day is just different, and there's times you can stop, go take a pee real quick, and you think there's nothing out there. It's right in the middle of nowhere. There's no chance, and sure as hell you stand there, you take a pee. Next moment, a lion jumps out of the bush.
I mean, that's gotta be.
So I think that's the the nice thing on the wild side from it that still makes Africa so unique.
So wild.
You hunt places where you have access to that. There's nothing like it. But there is differences, different parts of the country. It's just like stateside for you guys. There's different provinces in South Africa, so every province is unique to something.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's why guys will come back and say, oh, it felt like we were hunting in pens and stuff because certain places just don't have big land, and then literally you see from one fence line to the other. And I think that's where the hunting in South Africa get a bad reputation.
For sure.
But there is a lot of places that still create your wild places, and I think if people hunt, that's completely different. That's like hunting some of the best wild concessions out in Africa.
That was one of my things was like, obviously here where we're at, you see the mountains, we're able to just go and just get on public land and you can hunt as hard as you want. One of my things was like, man, I had this like this feeling where I'm like, man, I'm just gonna come in here and just shoot these pinned animals, right? Like, oh, we're just gonna throw some alfalfa out and we're just gonna stack bodies all day, which there's nothing wrong with, but that to me, that wasn't exciting. So I brought my bow, but then when I got to Africa, they were the spookiest. And I mean, I was like, I want to spot and stock because here we got elk, deer, it's bear. We live for spot and stock seasons. They're a style of hunting. And so I get there and then I'm telling them like, hey, I just give me an area and I want to spot. And they're all looking at me like, it's not going to happen, bro. And I'm like, I'm a Western hunter. I got it. Right. They're like, no, that's great. It's cute. You guys got cute elk running around. That's, and every time, I mean, just even like an ostrich, I was like, it's a bird, I can't, and those things, I mean, we couldn't get within hundreds of yards of even an ostrich. And I was like, okay, like it was a legit challenge. And that made it much more enjoyable for me that it wasn't just like a canned hunt. And you hear all those stories like, oh, you just, so we were actually hunting. I mean, we did a lot. Then it came to the point I was like, man, give me the gun. Like, we're not getting close enough. I'm in Africa. I got to start killing some stuff. And that's where I ended up just grabbing a rifle and we'd get as close as we could. But I mean, it was so much fun and it was wild. You're just driving around. There'd be some creature run across the road. I'd be like, what is that? They would just like, oh, that's a water buck. And it's beautiful. Everything there was so beautiful. I mean, I loved Africa. I can't wait to go back. But crocodiles. I've heard some pretty wild stories about crocodiles. I got one of my best friends killed a giant croc years ago. And when they cut it open, he said it had 2 brass bracelets in it. How often do you see that kind of stuff?
So if you go to the wild parts in Africa, so I want to say, so your Lake Kariba in Zimbabwe, some of the big rivers, Tanzania, all the Zambia, those type of places. So a lot of these places are surrounded with villages. So most of the hunting blocks have villages either very close to it or on the concessions, depending where you're hunting. So a lot of these people, their livelihood is to fish. So they are on the rivers daily, and I mean, they bath there. That's where they pretty much go every day. So a lot of these crocs learn where they hang out, and then, sadly, a lot of people get taken, without knowing. Nobody just don't come home again. And then probably in that season, you'll shoot a croc, and next moment you cut it open, and then all of a sudden there's somebody in it or whatever. So I think there's way more stuff that happens like that on a daily basis, but because it's people that's out there, nobody knows, nobody cares, nobody, but the reality is they kill a lot of people in Africa every year because they're sneaky. I mean, it's a young kid, 5, 6, 7 years age, stand too close to it, and I mean, to get a hold of you, there's no chance because those crocs, anything from probably your 13 to about 16-foot crocs, is typical, decent size in most rivers and ponds.
I can't even fathom seeing a 16-foot crocodile. I mean, how old is the that's gonna be?
Yeah, so they get very old. The crocodiles probably, when you hunt them, they can be anything between 60 to 80 years. Yeah, so it takes a long time.
That is insane. And we never, I mean, we're so sheltered here, and we live these cush lives here in the U.S., and these guys are over here. I mean, you go down to get water, and your wife just doesn't come back one day. And then that's just real. And then it's just, all right, well, life goes on.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember we were in Rungwa. We did a hunt now, and they told me a story where they said they found a woman one time, thought it was a poacher, and she was like in shock. So they thought maybe she didn't have food or water or whatever. So they picked her up and then took her to the campsite, took care of her, and pretty much she didn't speak much. And then probably about 2 days later, then she spoke to some of the trackers, and they asked her, well, where are you from? How does it work? And she said, no, they actually honey, they harvest honey. So they were actually legally, coming to harvest honey, and then they encountered a group of lions, and then the lions pretty much charged at them, and she was quick enough to be able to jump in a tree. So she made it, and then her husband never made it to the tree, and literally had to watch the lion eat the.
She had to sit in this tree as a pride
That's
of
why
life.
she was so in shock when everybody found her, because she knew she was there illegally, first of all, and then second of all that she watched her husband just got killed by a lion. So that's the type of stuff that happens that I think a lot of people don't know, and that's especially in your wild parts of Africa. So there's still a world out there that stuff happens, and they're dangerous animals, and they've got an instinct. That's why our wildlife, even we want to try and tame it, you never tame them. There's always a wild instinct to them that you'll never get out of them.
I couldn't fathom watching it, even if it wasn't your. I mean, you say it's your poaching buddy, and you make it to the tree, and he does it. I mean, and lions could climb trees, so I mean, you're still not safe. But I mean, the fact that you're sitting there listening to the noises, I mean, it's got to be one of the most god awful things you would ever have to.
There's a lot, even in the photographic camps. Everybody thinks this type of stuff just happens in hunting camps. A lot of the photographic camps. So in Africa, we use a lot of tents.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it just zips, open, close. And sometimes the year it can be really hot. So a lot of the times, people will, leave the tents open.
Nope.
Because they think it's a joke, or it's, and then they'll leave it open. And on several occasions in the past, then you've heard where the guy gets taken right next to his wife, get dragged out by a hyena or lion out of the tent, and then literally go eat the guy up as well. So
a hyena too?
So hyenas, they are opportunists, and there's a lot of them in Africa, especially in some parts of it. There's really plenty, and I mean they've got one of the hardest biting skulls probably on an animal. So what they do is they just sneak in, and then they bite you on the head or whatever, and then try and pull you out. So there've been several occasions of that also happening.
So tourists.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to say Americans.
Yeah.
That's probably a good bet to say that. Yep. We're leaving our zippers.
Safe to say that.
Safe to say that these are Americans leaving their tents open at night on the African plains, expecting there to just we're good. This is just camping down in Salt Lake. We're in the mountains here in Salt Lake or Boise, Idaho, and they just but they're clearly warned. I just saw a video the other day where it was a photographer camp, and these two hippos, they must have been mating. I don't know if they're two males, one chasing the other one. I mean, blowing through this camp, and people were just standing there, but it wasn't hunting. They were just all there's just women and children, and these two hippos just come blasting through this camp, I would imagine full rut for them. Obviously, they're over territory, whatever it was. And I would just watch that video, and I'm like, that would be the greatest moment. Just to watch this. But I mean, that is insane. I've never even thought about the tourist side of things. At least you have, you made
prepared. So even, a lot of the times if you go, because we do a lot of, tourist safaris with a lot of the clients, so they'll typically do a hunting safari, and then either prior or after go to some of the parks. And a lot of these places, it's like open vehicles. So in South Africa, we are allowed to drive with vehicles, and you're allowed to hunt with vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where another thing, the shooting comes from people saying it's easy. If you drive around on a truck and you don't get off, animals are used to the vehicles. So most of the time you can, shoot it. But any hunt you do in Africa, you get off foot and you actually walk and stalk it. The moment they see you, they know you shouldn't be there. So that's why, and then it's a completely different ballgame.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you've obviously been doing this a while, and you've seen some shit.
Yes.
Scariest, what's your number one animal that you have the utmost respect for? Because there's a lot. You have the big 7?
Yeah. So the big 7, just to break it down. So pretty much we have what they used to call the big 5.
The big 5.
You have to have starting from the big one, we have the elephant, the rhino, and then you had your 2 cats, lion, leopard, and your buffalo. So that used to be and still considered the big 5 in Africa. Then because of the rhino becoming a little bit more political, and a lot of people wanted to shoot them, not shoot them, so Then they switch it over to what they refer to as the big six. So then pretty much you just added a crocodile to the mix.
Okay.
And big seven, then it will be the all big five plus the hippo and the croc gives you the big seven.
And out of that, which animal has, or animals,
So my personal experience, I've always been, I love the cats, and the cats just, I think, because you hunt, a lot of the leopard hunts takes place at nighttime. Your lion hunts, it's probably the scariest hunt. I think of all the animals, I've got respect for all of them, but by far the cats probably gives you the most exciting experience. Like I said, each one, break it up. I can't say buffalo is also in a...
I mean, they're all in the same category.
That's why it has the reputation it has, the big five, big seven. It's the moment you hunt those animals, you're in for a different ballgame, because you hunt animals that will kill you any chance you get. So it makes it a...
What makes a lion? What separates a lion from everything else? I mean, because obviously most Cape buffaloes, I feel that they're not going to charge. But what do they call them? The
Duggar boys.
Duggar boys. Yeah. Those are the mean ones considered, right? Or is it just in general all of them?
So the Duggar bulls are normally the ones that's been kicked out of the herd. So we always call them like the old grumpy men. They're all by themselves and they, pretty
pissed off, hate the world.
Life. So yeah, sometimes out of nowhere they can't charge. It doesn't happen oftenly. So let's say I've probably guided very close to 550 buffalo hunts.
What?
And yeah, they all have, it's like humans. They all have their own personality. So you get some that just, when you see them, they're just mad at you for no reason. And
do you know immediately? Is it a posture or like ears? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, so I think on buffalo, they're unpredictable. So if you can, in hunting, you can push. A lot of these things, people live for the adrenaline and they live for the excitement. So it's all about how you get guided. So a lot of guys will take you like 150 yards and say, okay, bam, this is it, whack it. I mean, you're going to have a great hunt. But there's something, if you shoot double rifles, then you have to be, within 60 or 45 yards.
That's close.
To do that, then you have to, you push the limits and the boundaries a bit.
And you're inside of that animal's bubble at that point.
Correct.
Like, they know you're there.
Exactly. And then again, there's always eyes that you can't see that's either to the left or right. So we've on several occasions have Duggar bulls that I'll sneak into, and we have the client shoot it like at 30 yards, and then the next moment the shot goes off, everything breaks to the left, and there was a whole group sleeping off to the left.
And you had no idea.
And when you're standing there in the middle and you've got, yourself and the client, and the trackers don't have rifles, sometimes a scout might have an AK-47, but yeah, charging buffalo, you're not going to do much with it with an AK-47.
Spray and pray.
Exactly. So you're pretty much there by yourself, and you just have to make sure you, hopefully come out alive, I suppose, at the end of the day.
That is wild to me. Because one thing that shocked me the most when I was in Africa, like, you see a giraffe, and you're like, before going to Africa, there's a giraffe, you can see it a mile away. They would walk behind a tree, and I'm talking gone, completely disappear. Even a Cape buffalo, this giant, several 1,000-pound jet black animal. I mean, when we would be walking or coming up on a watering hole, I mean, they'd be like, "There's a buff," and I'm probably your typical. I mean, I'm scanning but they're looking at like a foot, like a hoof. And this thing would just move, and then all of a sudden, like, it's there, they just appear. And that was one of the biggest shocks to me, is how well everything just disappeared. So, like you saying, you can walk up on a whole herd of sleeping buffalo. I mean, I completely understand. It's just
people will think you'll see it from a mile away. It's the same, we do a lot of the elephant hunts as well, and that's another topic. There's a lot of rumors. People think African elephant is extinct. They are 100% not extinct. There is so many of them. And the thing is, we have...
Oh, so you're talking numbers-wise.
Yeah, no.
So I feel like that is a huge lie that we get told.
So I think that's one of the biggest, truly one of the things that people have a massive misperception of, because like in our area alone, the habitat in Botswana, because of the elephant, so let's say I've lived in our area 20 years that we've been in the bushveld now. And that 20 years, I'm used to, maybe if you drive next to the river, I might have seen, maybe, let's say we see maybe 40 elephant in a season, maybe in and out coming from Botswana. And then it was always just in dry season because of the river. So the land gets dry, then everything moves to the river. So it would normally used to be in our, I want to say September, October, November, you used to see the elephant. Now, all of a sudden, there is because they're overpopulated, they're now pushing in huge numbers. I think we did a survey the other day, and that's the thing, practical surveys that you can actually, flew with helicopters, was on the ground, checked everything. So we have between 600 and 800 elephant just in that area coming in and out. So the miles on that, so that's about that block of 175,000 acres.
You have that many elephants?
So there's 600 to 800 elephant just in that block.
How is it? How does it house that many? I feel like they would just.
So it can't. So what happens? That's one of the big things now. What happens is, and the problem comes in. So because Botswana is under pressure and because it's overpopulated from the northern side of the parks, so a lot of the parks gets destroyed because the habitat gets destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that just goes down the the chain. All the other animals suffers because in, the terrain. So pretty much what we always try and do is protect the habitat. But to give you an idea, on 1,000 hectares, so to work out what's that, 2,500 acres, can host one elephant. So in our block, we cannot have more than, probably 70 elephant.
And you push it how many?
And we've got 600 to 800.
Okay, so once it gets to this point, obviously, you said you're trying to protect the habitat. Does the government step in and start, culling elephants, or do they increase tag amount? How does that work?
So that's
permits, not tags.
So that's where a big thing comes in. So, in our area, you get what they call a damage permit.
Yeah.
So if animal damage your property, then you can apply, and if it's really a problem, they will grant it to you. Because a lot of these elephant guys will have their houses, the lodges, everything there, and then these elephants come in and literally, not a joke, come and rub against the house when the people are sleeping at night time. And they just get very comfortable. So they come in to the villages and places, compounds where some of the people stay, and break all the trees down, rip all the cables out, and just to menace. But the thing is, they're so hard on the terrain. It's terrible to see. So there'll be baobab trees that is, thousands of years.
And the baobab trees are those giant round ones, and those have the honey in them, right? Is that what that woman was trying? I've seen videos where they have the beehives inside the knot.
Yeah. So the baobab has a fruit that sometimes throughout the season falls down, but it's just a historic tree. I mean, they call it the upside down tree.
Yeah. They're fascinating.
And, beautiful trees, and they get very, very old. But elephant, they do a thing what they call rim bark. So an elephant will go with his tusk, and he will pretty much rub against the bark. So over time, he rubs it, and then it creates that. It literally makes a whole ring around the tree, and it barks the whole thing. So a tree feed itself from the bottom going up, so they will pretty much cut off the lifeline.
And it dies.
Tree, and then it dies. So you have all these massive nyala trees
that are hundreds of years old.
That is hundreds of years we can't replace. And then they come in there, and the bulls especially, because they want to show off, and they come in, they like a bunch of bulldozers to just ram everything out of the ground. And so it's something, if people see it, like I said, if I watch a National Geographic program, and I'll be like, oh, for goodness sake, the elephants are extinct. And then you go back home, you're like, oh, all the parks are getting destroyed because the numbers are just out of control.
Are the numbers out of control because of the image that these trophy hunters, and then obviously the bans on being able to import things back to is that okay? So as we're the Americans trying to do our part and save the animals, in reality, as a hunter, we see what's going on. How much and we'll get into PETA, because I know you've had some run-ins with PETA, we'll get there, but how much of that, what is the chain effect that just spirals out of, because I remember, and we'll get into Cecil too, but after that was happening, had buddies that were sending me stuff saying that they were culling 100 lions out of these parks out of helicopters. They're just flying and shooting them. And they had I seen piles higher than trucks of just stacks of lions. And it was because a lot of hunters aren't over there now trying to do this, because obviously they're getting crucified online, they're getting canceled, businesses are getting attacked. Is that a lot of that? I mean, why are the numbers so much higher now? What aren't they doing? What's changed?
So the thing is, I think a lot of people, even myself, I mean, we grew up, we love all the animals. I mean, it's part of Africa. So for us, whether you're a hunter, whether you're in the photographic side, I think we all share one common thing.
Absolutely.
We just love the wildlife. But there is a percentage of animals that has to get hunted every year in order to control something. So the lions have to be controlled, the elephant has to control. So we can't go and cherry pick the ones that we think are pretty or
Been in a Disney
have more
movie.
value or whatever. And I think that's what happens. People fall in love with a certain animal, and then they want to protect it. So like myself, I never wanted to hunt the elephant. It was the one animal I've never wanted to shoot in my life. And then I think at the age, I got the opportunity to shoot one, I think at the age of 19. Then I shot one. And when I actually saw what they did and everything, I'm like, you know what, I'm fine doing this because I'm doing, good, because there's just too many.
Yeah.
And then I did it and, loved it and told myself it's like shooting impala. I just had to tell myself that it's no difference than any other thing I've ever hunted. But because I've imagined and thought in my head, you love the animal, you don't want to do it. But yeah, like I said, now today, it's, if I see what damage they cause, I promise you, and they have to be controlled. There's no other way.
Dang, that is, so how many, if you don't know, but what's the number versus 5 to 10 years ago versus elephants being shot over there a year versus now?
So just for South Africa, I can, we went to a meeting the other day to try and see in our area what's happening.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people, grew up there, has been there for many, many years. And if you listen to the farmers, everybody's big question is what is the actual numbers? So what we do in South Africa, they call a thing that they you write like a management plan towards nature conservation. The thing is, and I think that's where a lot of people don't understand, because it's privately owned, nobody else can really come on your property. So the only guy that actually knows what's going on the property is the farmer. Mm-hmm. And the farmers then try and go and apply for permits, and then I would say nature conservation are forced to just try and keep everybody happy. So they give you a permit every once in a while just to keep you happy, but nobody really looks at the big problem. So the hard reality is those elephants that's coming through the border, now they're breaking in because I told you everything's high fence. So now they're starting to break. So there's a lot of these farms that get bought by overseas investors, people that live, whether it's in Sweden, whether it's in America, wherever. So they buy these properties, then they say they want it wild. So they open their fence up. There used to be a big fence between Botswana and South Africa. They take that fence down. Now you've got a free flow. So now you've created...
And you have new food source.
Yep. And now
water.
It gets eaten up here. So now they're forced to come into the farms. Now they come in. Now they start destroying all the fences.
And then they're going to the neighbors'
And
property.
that's the thing. You can't really control elephant. I know everybody says, there's a lot of parks that you can put fences up, electricity work. There's a lot of stuff that does work.
What does that cost?
But exactly. And I think that's where people, now you're somebody that inherited a farm as a South African. Your dad was a cattle farmer. Now all of a sudden you have all these investors around you. Now they created this little monster because now all these things comes in a huge number, destroy everything, and then you have almost no say of it, because those elephants are no man's land, and it's nobody's elephant. It's not Botswana, it's not South Africa, so
they're Africa's.
Exactly. So they so we are allowed to hunt them if they're on your property. You get your damage permits. Botswana also open up for hunting. So I don't know what created, but I think it's the habitat. I think it's just overpopulated.
And there's 5 areas they're just pushing out. That's wild. But then at the same time, you still got these anti-hunting groups, anti-everything that we are, that are fighting for it. But in reality, we got to face the facts. It happens here. Like, we're dealing with wolves and then reintroduction to Colorado and all that right now, which is hilarious to watch. But it's if they realize, and this is where I really want to have like an anti-hunter on one day, and I want to sit down and talk to them. If they would just see that, take the killing part out of it for a second. We're the ones, you look at Africa, South Africa, I feel like it's a pretty corrupt country as far as the money-wise. And you have all these organizations where people donate to help children in Africa, lions, elephants, when in reality, none of that money, or very small portion of, then you could correct me if I'm wrong, I'm talking cents on the dollar, actually make it back to farmers, ranchers, conservation. It's the hunters, the photographers, the people that are traveling through the country that spending the money in these towns, villages, tipping, booking an elephant hunt, which is, 25 to 50,000 starting-ish. So I feel that if they can just take the emotion out of it for a second, be like, hey, we love these animals too. Our passion's different than yours, but at the end of the day, it's still the love for these animals. I get crucified all the time for bear hunting, right? Yeah. And my kids, and that's what we do as a family. Bears, I absolutely love everything about bear hunting. And these people will come and attack me. And I'm like, I guarantee you my kids know more about that animal, its habitat, its routine, the personalities. They've spent more time watching these animals than any person that's trying to take away their rights to be able to hunt the animal. But they're putting in more time, and they respect these animals more than any of these people that are trying to take everything away or fight for their rights. And it's the same in Africa. And so that's where I feel like these groups are almost doing more damage by getting lions shut down, because then you're just taking a huge portion of income out of these local towns, community. I mean, because some of these villages that are in these concessions or on these farms, right, along the rivers, they depend on the food source, right? Because is it true that most of the locals can't hunt? Like, that's why poaching's such a big thing. They got to go and actually get their...
So you see, so what happens, so if you take, again, South Africa, just speaking for South Africa itself, privately owned, so that's a private landowner who takes care of it. If you go into Africa and you get your concession blocks, then pretty much you take the responsibility of the whole block. So that comes down to, so like we used to run, so in Zimbabwe, we own the Matete units, was one of the best places probably for big game hunting, and it was one of the first places to actually start with it. So I operated that area for about, probably I want to say 15 years. The last 15 years, I think went out of Zim probably about a year ago. So for 15 years, we ran some of the biggest hunting blocks in that part. So it's very close to Victoria Falls. So it's literally on the Botswana border. And then you're very, very close to Vic Falls. We're pretty much about, I want to say, 40-minute drive from Victoria. So those blocks were about, to give you an idea, about 60 to 80,000 hectares. So then you had
So it's doubled in acres.
Yeah, so then you pretty much got what they give. So parks give you an annual quota, and they tell you, listen, we've set aside this amount of animals to get hunted for the year, and then that's what they want you to shoot. So they want you to shoot as close to the amounts of figures that they have. And then those will come up on auction. You'll go and bid, and then whoever wants to bid, that's your concession for the 5-year period. So most of the concessions will be a 5-year lease with the option to renew for another 5. So pretty much then they'll give you, let's say, a quota, for example, and those blocks used to be, they'll give you like 10 or 12 buffalo, they'll give you 2 or 3 leopard, they'll give you 1 or 2 lions, and elephants was about, let's say, 4 or 5 each. And then a little bit of plains game of, let's say, about, just for the sum of it, 7 to 8 per species of the plains game stuff. In reality, you don't always end up shooting all those animals. I think that's one of the things everybody look at it and say, oh, the whole Zimbabwe had 500 tags for the year.
Not every
500, because we're trophy hunters, you're probably not half of them are gonna get shot, because you're just not gonna find them. A lot of these properties are open in and out, so it's all timing. And and even as hunters, we have to shoot a certain size. So for us, pretty much what happened is you manage that place like your own farm.
Yeah, you're not shooting young animals.
So then it comes down to protecting genetics. So on the lion side, then which lion do you shoot? You know, a lot of guys will go in and shoot the biggest pride lion. A hunter, again, that's not something you do. If you operate a place, you try and get the oldest male that's almost causing problems, wanting to try and kick into the herd or whatever. That's normally the ones you try and focus on. And then also you listen to the people on the ground. I mean, a lot of these villagers will tell you, listen, there's a cat, he's aggressive, we don't want this thing, it's tried to eat my kid, or listen, this thing comes to the village, it's tried to grab somebody out of a thing. So it's almost like they come and ask you when you get access to it to say, it's almost like a real big position that people approach and say, Philip, please handle it correctly, because this is,
we got a croc that's eaten 3 people in the last month, like, you need to come hunt this croc. And then you'll get a client that'll call, hey, I want a big croc. You'll be like, perfect.
Then you try and look it all up.
Okay.
I always tell people, people will ask me, Philip, why do you hunt? And I said, well, remember, I grew up with it. My kids hunt. I love to hunt. It's in our family. I mean, to live in Africa and you don't hunt is pretty odd. For us, we love it, but everybody there hunts. But we grew up respecting and knowing how to handle it. And I think that's the big thing, is when you hunt these big animals, it puts a huge responsibility towards you to do it correctly, because you only get one chance. And that's why when you start hunting the big areas, and I think that's where Tanzania and a lot of the old ethics and old school professional hunters, they really strive to protect that part, because they knew when they did it, they did it correctly. Where you get a lot of guys that don't handle that position correctly. And then, like I said, it's a numbers game. They're just
correct. And then that's obviously crushing your genetics.
Correct.
And then it takes years to recover.
But to give you an idea, so for our water supply for those concessions, so let's say we had anything from, it could be 3,000, 10,000 elephants coming through those blocks in a year's time. So you have to provide water for it. So I had to pump water. So if it's a dry season in Africa,
which is dry.
So it's beautiful. That's why I always say it's beautiful to look at all these animals, but it's a different thing when you have to take care of it. So just the pumping of the water, and a lot of these places don't have solar panels or whatever, so it's like some of it still have generator that runs with a pump that you have pump a little bit of water in there. Here comes a whole group of elephant, can be 300 herd of elephant come in there, drink, and then there's no water. So one of the biggest things, the porks, our own challenges and the concessions next to it is you take that responsibility to make sure you have that. So there's huge money that goes into that type of stuff. And I think that's where a lot of the people think they're helping Africa, like you said, through organizations. That's what they initially want to
claim or try to
with,
picture.
But that stuff don't really get taken and pulled.
Okay, so how much money are you getting from the government? Let's say you own one of these plots. You got to feed 3,000 elephants a year. How much money have you seen from the government? So if I'm donating to helping this trying to protect elephants in Africa, I'm just somebody on TV and I see these elephants and they got the tears running down their eyes and they got the Sarah McLachlan music playing. How much? And I make a donation. I donate $1,000. How much money have you received from the government over the years?
I've never seen any money.
Okay, then here's my next question. If let's say they did away with these concessions or plots, right? And they took the outfitter off of it. Who's going to run that?
So this is what happened. So I think when from stateside, when the elephant ban got put in place, I think I'm trying to think that I think that was in the year that Obama was elected, more or less. So it was in that time frame. So I remember they changed the law that they didn't want the export of the elephant to take place anymore. So the thing is, again, we've got 500 tags in Zimbabwe. Like I said, 250
if you're lucky
to get hunted if you're lucky. Yep. Now, so Africa's biggest challenges, we've got drought is our biggest one, and then poaching. I think those are Africa's two things that kills Africa, and that's what people don't understand. So on an area like that, if I'm not there, so then it opens it up to poaching, because these villages surrounding there, these people need to eat and live. So you have access to some of the most beautiful wildlife on planet Earth. Nobody protects it. So as you're creating a monster, because they're gonna definitely, put snares out, do anything to try and kill these animals. The other thing is drought. So now the water, we can't pump or supply enough water. Now a group of elephant that year, because there was no funds, we didn't pump where elephant only drink fresh water. So now you take that water supply away, they have to cover a certain amount. So you close a few of those, then all of a sudden you kill all those herds of elephants. So you get to a water hole and there's 160 elephant dead because there's no water. That was a simple thing, and that's all practical things that happens in the bush. And that's what I said, people look at the hunting figures and freak out, but if you look at the management part of it, but again, because they're overpopulated, have to be controlled, because if they drink all the water, what the hell is the other stuff going to drink? So it just has a very bad cycle into pretty much all the other stuff. Yeah. So I think, to give you an idea, I think that year we lost in that area. I think what I know, they told me it was almost 3,000 elephant that got killed that year through drought. Just no management. Yeah.
See, that's what you never hear about that.
So the management thing is, and that's why when we hunt, so let's say
3,000 elephants.
So I hunt 5 elephant a year. I shoot, let's say, 5 of the oldest elephant bulls again that I can, because you're a trophy hunter.
If you're lucky, you're filling all your...
So wherever, now you go, you shoot those 5. We always look at it to say, I'm shooting 5 to save a few thousand. And that's what people don't understand.
They'll never...
The money that I get gets used towards running these concessions. So remember, you have to have staff of 15 time on an area like that. Then you have to have your anti-poaching unit. Then you have to have your vehicles. Then you have to have a fire team. You have to have... So there's so much stuff that goes into it that I think behind the scenes a lot of people don't know about. And that's why when they just look at the hunting figure, they just, you guys make so much money. it's expensive because it's expensive to run those parts of Africa.
For
And
sure.
if you want to run it correctly, then there's only one way to do it, is you have to do it right. So that's why a lot of the big game has gotten so expensive and limited, and just not a lot around. But if you go, same thing, in those areas we will have huge herd of buffalo. There used to be thousands of buffalo. So the lions will come in. I've been one day physically that I drove around, and I found where I think there was 3 male lions whacked. I think there was 5 buffalo that got whacked in an area that wasn't big. It was probably within 100 yards from one another.
Really?
That I've seen 5 buffalo, and some of it was Duggar bulls that got smashed. Then it was cows with females got smashed. It's almost like they went like in a killing spree. They just went everything that was there. They put the hell out of it and killed it. And the thing is same thing. Lions numbers not taken care of, overpopulated, then it has a negative effect on everything.
It just trickles down
again.
yeah.
Everything goes down to, we can all love it, we want it there, but it has to be controlled. So area like ours, I can only have 70 elephants. I cannot.
You have 6.
So I can take all the professors, you can write everything up. They will tell you 1,000 hectares for one elephant. That's the study. That's how they've done it over years. That's how it's proven. So yes, we can't have more than 70 elephants. Now, how do I get rid of the, let's say there's 800. So how do I get rid of, the rest? So the 730, where do I go with it? So now there's 2 options. We can either hunt them and make it a legal hunt and manage it and do it correctly, and then you can be selective. Or you have to, go and say we have to cull it. And my personal opinion is I don't like culling.
Because you're just letting them lie, or
you
what?
get one guy up in a helicopter, he goes and bang, 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 shoot, all the meat goes to waste. I mean, it's just too much logistic to handle. But the bad thing is you have to shoot the calves, you have to shoot, and I think anybody as a human being, you don't want to do that.
And I feel like that's something that if it was actually like ever documented and put out there, I don't know if it would hurt the image of obviously hunters more, but because people, they'll just say it, oh, they're just trophy hunting from a helicopter, right? But the fact that they're flying and just mowing down hundreds of elephants and everything goes to waste. I mean, it's not going to the villages.
I mean, if you just look at the meat, I mean,
how many tons of meat?
So they use that correctly. I mean, that's one way to look at it. I mean, your ivory is another part of it. Then you sit with the liver, you sit with a lot of things. So the thing is I think nobody wants to take responsibility to say it's our elephant. I think that's where a lot of the governments have an issue. So concession blocks, we know I'm allowed to shoot my 5. So the rest of it, I don't manage, I don't control. But it's a very hard thing to maintain and to control if you let the numbers go out of proportion. So just speaking again for South Africa, that 600 to 800 elephants is a massive problem.
Yeah.
Because I don't take care of it in the next year, those elephants is just going to, the numbers
Double.
And I made a joke the other day with someone, and I said, listen, everybody when they fly into South Africa, they think, oh, they're going to see wild lions and elephants running free, in the area. I said, well, if we keep on doing what we're doing now, I don't think we're really just far from seeing elephant actually on the runways.
Walking through Johns.
Yeah. It has to be managed.
Oh, well, everything needs a checks and balance. But I want to talk about poaching because I kind of have a I have some mixed feelings on poachers in Africa. So you have obviously your ivory poachers. That to me, when I hear poacher, that's first thing my mind goes to, right? But I know, because at the same time, these tribes, some of these villages, they're not allowed to hunt. So then, I mean, I look at it as a father, right? If you were going to come in and tell me, hey, you can't go out to these mountains and provide for your family, I'm fucking doing it anyways.
Exactly.
So like, what's your take on it? I mean, is it, because obviously I'm naive to it because I didn't have any experience, and I have buddies that were in Africa and they end up they're on a safari and they're chasing poachers and like their whole hunt turns into a poacher hunt, but they're catching guys with snares and spears and they're killing tons of animals. What's your opinion? I mean, how is that? Obviously you're dealing with them. Is it a daily basis? I mean, do you catch them every now and then? I mean, are you dealing with them? Is that more Northern Africa where?
I think so. Any place where, if it's still wild Africa and there's not a lot of people, you're not going to deal with a lot of problems. The moment you have people close by, villages close by, then there's always that one guy that wants to, he's the hunter. So I mean, and that's the thing. To them, every animal is equal. They don't separate one from the other. For them, it's a survival. Meat is meat.
Yeah.
So, wherever they kill a lion and eat it, they'll eat anything, because there it comes down to survival. So that's why if we don't control areas, then you have these guys running around, open land, put snares out, do whatever. So, some of them, like you said, more extreme. Some guys they'll try and kill elephant. They want the big meat. You get a guy that will focus on the cats, because in the village chief wants a leopard skin, or he wants a lion head on top of his head or whatever. That's how they grew up. It's part of their culture. So you're not going to change that. And and then same thing. They have cattle. That's their livelihood. Now you get a lion that comes and eats his cattle. So immediately it's revenge. So this guy has got his heart set. He's like, I'm going to kill whenever this lion comes in. Or he has a bad experience where the lion came into the village. His dad got his arm bit off or whatever by a lion. So he hates a lion. He grew up hating a lion.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, his whole life, he dedicates to try and kill them.
Killing lions.
Yeah.
So it varies. There's so many different levels of poaching.
So if you look in South Africa side again, so we had a lot of rhino. We used to have we had close to 40 rhino on our game farm itself. And talk about how much they eat. So we were able to buy from, Krüger National Park had every year they would sell some rhino to the private sector. So you were allowed to go and same thing, go on a bid, pay per inch, and you were able to buy rhino. Okay. So a lot of these farmers, that was how we could get rhino. So we bought a lot of wild rhino back into the private sector.
Okay.
So then you had these things, but it had to be on a permit system. So you have to have what they call an exemption permit that allows you to have the rhino. But pretty much you buy the rhino, you own the rhino. That's your rhino. Mm-hmm. So I can hunt it. I can keep it for the nice. I can cut the horn off. I can do whatever I want to do with a rhino. It's my rhino. So it used to have a trade that we could always trade within the boundaries of South Africa. In 2010, we had the Soccer World Cup. So I don't know what we wanted to look good for some other reason, but then they put in a regulation that was called the TOPS regulation. And the TOPS regulation pretty much made the elephant industry or the rhino industry very, very complicated, because then you have to have like a moving permit, this permit, that permit, just so much stuff. And then it created a little monster, because then it opened the black market. Uh-huh. So you talk about trade, that's pretty much as bad as you guys have the drug cartels with it became one of the most expensive things. So there was gangs and groups that were paid to just go shoot rhino. That was every day. So we had issues in Krüger National Park. So first of all, the parks have their own issue, and then it went over to the private sector, because we had a lot of rhino. We have the most rhino in the world is in South Africa. And I always tell people, I said, everybody wants to tell us how to do it, but there's a reason we're the only ones having it, because what we've done over the years, it worked. Yeah. But when they started messing with the system, they created the black market, and then we had, I think there used to be poaching maybe 4 or 5 a year that we knew of. Mm-hmm. Then it jumped to 300, then to 450.
In 1 year?
Yeah. Then it became like a super crisis.
Instantly after they put in these new regulations.
And regulations, yeah.
Imagine that.
It's almost like it gave you information where all the rhino is. Mm-hmm. It told you how it was happening. And
who's got what.
Then it came down to, so there's a few farmers that had 1,000 rhinos. Mm-hmm. And to feed those rhinos, I can tell you, we probably spend in our dry area, those 40 rhinos cost me probably about almost $200,000 a year just in feed for those rhinos.
Just in feed.
Then I have no source of income. The only source I have is to kill them. So I had to shoot one to provide for the food Friday night.
What's a rhino?
So then we never shot one in my whole career there. We never did it, because my dad actually took government to court to try and change everything. So then we went through a huge court battle. We won the minister in all the battles. So it was first in the high court, and it went to the other court and to the other court, and 3 times we actually won the case. So now we're allowed to trade again within the boundaries of South Africa.
Because of your dad?
Because of my dad. So I went, and it was, we went to a lot of organizations, asked for help, because we all knew it was a big problem. And then we just, pushed it, because me and my dad we love these animals. Mm-hmm. Although we're big hunters, we love these animals. So for that period, we, I think it was almost a 7-year period that we fought that court battle and actually eventually pushed it through. But to the extreme that we actually had to sell our rhinos because of the pressure of the poaching. It was just too much. I mean, we protected those 40 rhinos for almost 7 years without...
You didn't lose any?
I never...
That's impressive.
But then within a period of a month, they shot 7. And then, you know, my dad used to be in the banking industry. So my dad came from a police background. So then we started investigating and then we went full on. So then we called every single guy that was on our farm over a course of, let's say, a 3-month period.
What happens when you catch them? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so not much. So pretty much you catch them and you can find the kingpin, point everything where everything comes back to, but because it's corrupt and because it's political, it goes to a certain point and it goes down, yeah.
Oh. And they're back out doing it again a week later?
Yeah. So let's say you catch a poacher red-handed with everything, then they'll have an attorney. The attorney will come and tell any story they can to say it's, you know, he wasn't poaching.
Who's paying for the attorney?
Probably through the organization that does.
PETA?
So like we pretty much, when I pushed it through, there was a farmers in Rosebank that actually was one of the kingpins that, you know, funded these things and then pretty much could bang gangs out. And then they had per horn or per inch, per whatever, how bigger or whatever they, you know, pay them like that. So they're the one that fund them, gave a vehicle. And then the funny thing is a lot of these poachers, it's combined. You have South Africans involved, you have Mozambique involved, you have Zimbabwe, Zambia. So it's almost like it's all.
Do you ever find any foreigners as part of the poachers? Because I know a lot of it goes to Asia. Did any of them come over and help?
Yeah, so remember a lot of these, it's in their culture. So, you know, for them, always tell people, I mean, for us, we grew up eating jerky and biltong and stuff. It's like somebody telling me I can't have that anymore. So for them, whether they use it for an aphrodisiac, whether they, you know, use it for medicine, use it in tea, I've seen it, I've been around it. You know, for us, there's no difference between a rhino horn and a cattle hoof. So
Yeah.
the thing is all the animals in Africa,
It's all
if a horn gets broken, it only has one horn.
Mm-hmm.
A rhino's horn is like a nail. You clip it, it grows back.
It's like an antelope
Yep.
here. It's
Yep.
is it kind of fibrous?
So if you cut it, it grows about 4 inches a year.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So then that's a whole other or a whole other maintenance bill.
Yep.
On top of it, you got to dart these things.
Correct.
I mean, that can't be cheap.
So
or
you
fun.
have to microchip all the horns. You have to do it with nature conservation. So pretty much all the information that happens on your farm is with them. And then a lot of that stuff then, like I said, got leaked. And then a lot of the farmers then...
So you're
started
paying
running.
for that, paying for the darts, the chipping, the vaccinating, whatever. Because obviously, just because you dart, you're not going to just cut one out. You're going to try to make sure they're healthy. And you're paying out of pocket for all that.
Correct.
And then that goes to the government, all that information. And then that gets leaked to these
And then when we say,
groups.
and then a lot of the farmers, they don't want to give the information away.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, because they like, you know, I never had issues on my farm. All of a sudden,
No.
I'm playing by the book.
So when this list comes out, let's say Philip Krüger, 40 rhinos, they can just see this and be like, this guy's got 4. And that's,
Correct.
this isn't a giant concession, so we can find them kind of easy.
You know, and the thing is how do you protect an area that is, let's say, you're talking about a 33,000 acre game farm. How do I start to protect it? So the thing is they will only come on full moon.
Mm-hmm.
So they shoot these things, you know, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
But they're tracking them. They're already sitting on them.
So
They're
the
waiting
thing
for
is,
them.
you know, catching these guys, you dealing with some serious guys that knows the bush.
They're just as good as you.
Not a guy that does not know what they're doing. That's literally the best of the best that you get out there. So if you go follow their tracks and stuff, it's insane.
What are they doing to disguise their tracks? Like, I mean, what makes these guys so good? They're just born and raised out there, so they know everything. I mean, that was one of the most impressive things to me when I was in Africa was watching these trackers. I shot a baboon in the face with my bow, spins, roars, starts ripping and takes off. And when we were tracking it, this guy, he probably was only like 40, 50 years, but he looked 100.
Yeah.
I mean,
Looked rough.
he's got some bush miles on him.
Yeah.
He had a stick in one hand and he had his other hand behind us. He'd just walk with his hands behind his back and he'd get this stick and he would just draw a circle on the ground and he'd just keep walking and he'd stop We'd get into these little sand banks or little riverbeds, and there'd be hundreds of thousands of tracks over, just these animals between the guinea hens and everything. I mean, there's so much in there. He would stop, take a second, and just turn and start, and he'd make another, and I got on my hands and knees, and I looked in this circle that he drew in the sand. And I feel like I could track an animal pretty decent over the years. And I'm staring, and they're just still walking. And I'm on the ground behind him, like, I'm thinking, like, what the fuck is in this circle? Like, and then I'm talking pinhead drop of blood that this guy, and he would, and the guy, my buddy I was with, he ended up wounding an animal, and they stop, and I'm like, I want to learn. Everywhere I go, I'm that guy that asks, just why? What's this? What's going? Tell me about this. Because I want to know. It's just different tracking skills. Everything's just different. He was showing me in this riverbed full of hundreds of tracks where the one leg that he'd shot, where he can pick out where the 3 heavy feet hooves stepped, and this one was lighter. So we were on the right track of this wounded animal, and it was mind-blowing. I mean, so I couldn't even imagine the pressure put on a hunter or on a poacher, because you're going to have to be even tighter. I mean, the best, when you say the best of the best, I couldn't even imagine what the level of...
And they'll test your tracking skills, and the guys are phenomenal. So it's almost like it's actually, if you see it, it's the stuff they do and how it goes in the bush. It's just crazy. You can just see they just bush mark,
So I want to shift gears.
Okay.
Let's hear some crazy. I know you got some guide stories. You've been in the game a while. I have some wild guide stories just here in the States, let alone Africa. What are a couple? I want to hear one that comes top of your head. The biggest close call. I mean, where you were like, oh man, that we dodged one on that. I know you gotta have.
I'll tell you one that was not on a hunt. We were baiting for a lion hunt in Zimbabwe, and baiting lion, a lot of work. A lot of preparation, a lot of planning, and everything has to be right, because you're hunting these big wild open areas. So the big challenge is to find the right male, because like I said, very selective on which one you're going to shoot. So have to be a certain size, have to be a certain age.
Yep.
So we were hunting and on safari, having a great time. Just one day, me and my cousin were together, and I told my cousin, I said, listen, cuz, I said, I have to go have a look. There's a leopard on bait, but I can't see if it's a male or a female. I said, every time there's a trail cam, I just can't see. So I said, I would like to go check it out. So my dad was cleaning rifles that day.
So check it out as in you want to go actually put eyes on this cat.
Yeah, so we want to go have a look. So I told him, let's take more trail cams. Let's, try and see if we don't see it, then at least we leave the trail cams, we can go check it out. So me and my cousin, then my dad was having the rifles cleaning, and I'm like, listen, we're not going to make it. We need to go now. So normally as a guide, first rule is you'd always take your rifle with. So this day...
I mean, it is Africa.
Yeah, so this day I'm bush moored. I've done this how many times? I've got this. I'm like, cousin, jump in the car. He's a South African sprint athlete. Myself was pretty fast myself. So I'm like, guys, we'll be all right. So we jumped in the Land Cruiser and we drove, and it was quite a drive, probably about an hour from camp. So we drove, got there, and it's this big tree. So you parked the car, and then you walk down probably about 200 yards, and there's this beautiful river creek, and there's a beautiful leopard male that's been in that area, and the female. But this tree looks like a palm tree. It's just one straight up tree. There's not a lot of limbs or anything on it that you can climb it nicely. So it's literally one of those palm tree type of things. It's super hard to climb. So we can't climb. I can't climb it myself. There's just no way. I've tried on many occasions, because it's one of those that you have to bait it in that tree, not the one to the left of this much.
But that trees, one,
that specific one.
Is this a dad thing, or is this just that?
No,
tree?
So that tree was just over a long period. Everybody believed it. So I'm like, I'm not changing. Sticking to it. So made our way to this tree, and I told my cousin, I said, well, you're younger, so I'm gonna put
help
you up. Yeah. So he pretty much stepped on top of me, got him up, and like I said, he's a fit guy, so he just reached up there, but it's a big commotion. I got him up. Now he's on top of this tree, and the leopard bait's still sitting there, and He's on the tree, but I can see this branch that he's on with the impala that hanging out, this thing bent. So I'm telling him because he gained a little bit of weight. So I mocked him. I said, hey, you better be careful. I don't need you to fall down. It's high. So I watched this thing bend the whole time. And I mean, we're just messing with one another. So I'm down there. I said, are you ready? Can I throw you the trail cam? So you put us on a camera on each side to make sure we can see, make sure this thing has male or female. So I threw it up. And I giggled, laughed at him because he nearly let the thing fall and stuff. And the next moment, I just looked at his facial expression.
And you knew it was real.
And I knew something's off. And then as I look at him, I could see he can't speak or nothing's coming out of his mouth. And then I just heard in the back of my, at that point, probably guessed about 15 yards behind me, I hear this. And I instantly knew it's lion. I just knew, but I don't know where they're at. I don't know. So but I swear, it's like the hair raises. I just know I'm in trouble and I don't know where the hell to go because I'm in
hold on. Okay, hold on. So I can't fathom this because obviously our mountain lions.
No.
Our mountain lions aren't shit, right? Like they'll run, they're 100% scared of you.
Yeah.
So you know this cat is standing within 15 yards of you.
So I just realized it at that time. So.
And you could hear this thing purring.
So I could hear it purring and I knew in that moment that I had trouble because I don't have my gun with me.
You can't climb the tree.
I can't climb that tree. The other trees are not very big enough around there. So, I mean, there's pointless to attempt to climb one because if I climb it, it can also climb. So, a lion can climb trees.
Oh.
A lot of people think they can't climb. They can climb. So, I looked at my cousin because now I'm like, I know I'm screwed. It's one of those moments that you just realize, okay, I'm screwed. Do you go left? Do you go right? Where do I go? And I just saw his face and his eyes, just lighted up. And he's trying to tell me something. And he's lying on the piece of meat, still trying to balance and get everything sorted. And he just showed me with his hands like this. He just made like a big circle.
Which means a male.
And I see he's trying to speak, but he can't get anything out. And the next moment I just hear he says, lion. It's a big ass lion. And the next moment, I'm like, where do I go? That's my first thing when I yelled at him. I said, where do I go? Because he's got an aerial view. So I'm like, do I go left? Do I go right or what? He says, climb the tree.
Good luck.
I pretty much, in that moment, I think, I always tell people, in that moment, you're in such big shock. I swear, I ran that tree up. It was the easiest
First time
I've ever climbed in my whole life. Because I literally ran right up on it, like I literally just touched it a few times when I was sitting right next to my cousin, and then me and him both lie there. So it was
how bent was this branch at the time?
No. At that point, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, pretty bended, I suppose. And then we lied next to one another, and when I looked from the top, there was this big black maned lion, and it had two lionesses with it. So from where I was standing to where they were lying was literally about probably 13 yards. So they were a little bit up, and I was just a little down in the creek.
And you didn't have any lions on this camera? Like, you didn't cut any tracks? So
we know lions are in that area typically, but I mean, the thing is, you have the bait out, so they probably smelt the meat and thought, great idea, let's go check it out. So then me and my cousin are lying. Now we're looking at this lion. I mean, I was still in shake.
You're not in the clear. They can still obviously climb the tree.
So now I told him, I said, great, guys. I said, now we're in this tree. I said, we've got this lovely, stinky piece of meat that we hanged ourselves. Me and you both in the tree, and now we're surrounded by the lions. We got to get down. And my truck's about 200 yards on top there.
Get rock, paper, scissors, this point or what?
So we pretty much lied there. And I thought, there's nothing to throw. There's not branches I can break and try to throw at a temp. It's just one of those trees. So I sat there with cousin. I told him, I said, listen, I said, we're going to talk to this lion now. I said, you're going to tell him he's going. So we started yelling, try everything to get it to go away. And then eventually at some point they got up. Because lions, when they lie, they will lie there for hours. They sometimes will they won't.
So you're just getting comfortable.
So I heard this thing because it's getting dark. We were literally pushing daylight, so now it's getting dark as well. So
I
started yelling. Luckily, the thing started moving, and I told my cousin, I said, listen, dude, I said, I don't know about you, but I'm not staying on this branch for the whole damn night, and I'm not going to attempt this. I said, I'm going to fall out of this tree. I said, I've got one moment, I'm going to make it count. So literally, as they were moving away, we slipped down the tree. And like I said, we both pretty fast athletes, but that was the quickest 200-meter dash me and my cousin had. And he was a 400-meter sprinter. I was a 100-meter dasher. And he ran me, I'd rather the shit out of people. And yeah, so that was one of the funny thing is I got back to camp and I told the guys a story. So the next day I got to camp, there's this beautiful wooden car thing with a guy climbing a tree with a lion, pretty much up. And they told me, they said, listen, we hope you've learned your lesson. Don't do that again. I said, no, don't you worry. I said, I learned a good lesson.
So you've taken a gun with you. Yeah. I couldn't even I mean...
So that was not hunting. That's just typically doing...
But I like covers... I mean, a hippo can cover that ground. I mean, if they want...
So 15 meters, I must actually show you my phone. I've got a breakdown of how much seconds it will take him to cover, 15 meters, 20 meters, 25 meters. It's ridiculously quick. Yeah.
So clients, you have some pretty wealthy clients. I mean, some people from all over the world. I like to talk about, because my wife's always asking, every time I come back from a guiding trip, she's like, how was your client? How's your client? And she's learned now, she's like, was he a hunter or a killer?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize there's a difference between a hunter and a killer.
Correct.
And how I would explain it is, your average hunter will take a shot and they head up looking at the animal. But when you get a killer, they'll take that shot, work the bolt, they're back on it. If they get another shot and they're doing follow-up as much as they can. I couldn't even imagine being an Africa guide, because I mean, the shit I run into just here in the States on deer or elk or whatever. I mean, I'll tell my buddies stories. They're baffled, but I couldn't even imagine having some guy that's very successful, sits in an office for a career, and then now he's out hunting a lion. And obviously, and I've heard some stories about, besides not the baiting side of lions, but when you're hunting lion on the ground, like, you're pretty much just pushing them until you're tracking them, and they know the whole time that they're being hunted. And then they eventually just get to the point where they're done being followed and they just turn away. And so when you get to that scenario, like, have you ever had a client that you were like, oh, this is going to be a complete shit show? Or are most of your clients out of ready to go? I mean, how does
So I think I've counted the other day. So I think I've guided 104 lion hunts. And of the 104, I always tell the guys the story. I said more than half of the guys after the hunt burst out in tears, and the emotion gets to the guys. Because the thing is a lot of people, you think a lion is aggressive, they know they're dangerous, but you face that thing on land and you walk it eye to eye, it's not built for everybody. So yeah, a lot of guys will be like, you'll be guiding, and next man turn around and said, Philip, please just shoot the thing, I can't handle this anymore.
Really?
And then, a lot of you have to calm the guy down and tell him, listen, no, you'll do it. So yeah, it's a big mental thing when it comes to cat. I think it's one of those animals, your instinct tells you shouldn't be there. Oh. And that's why a lot of people, if you haven't done it, a lot of people have the world of comments about it, because remember, they drive in a photographic vehicle, see a lion lying next to the vehicle, that thing sees that vehicle every day, so he's not scared of the vehicle. So you will handle it with respect. You on the ground,
different ballgame.
It's a whole different ball.
Even
ballgame. And the thing is, the cats hunt us. If you think you're hunting lion, he's hunting you 100% of the time. He's hunting you. I never hunt lion. They always hunt me. I've never hunted a lion, because whatever I think he's going to do, they never do that. They always do the opposite, or the one thing I did not plan for. They are extremely good hunters. So when you track a lion, they play games with you.
So when you finally catch up to the lion, like, how does this go? I mean, obviously, I've seen videos, I've heard stories, but like, from your point of view, when do you know you're getting close? Is it eyes on? Are you hearing? Do the tracks change? Like, are they?
So for the lion hunting, there's two types of lion hunting. So you get what people relate to your wild lions, and those are the ones that tags are very limited. It will almost be like your sheep tags, pretty much, or your governor tags. So for us, we have a few exclusive lion tags, that's your wild tags, but that goes for huge money. Not every person can do that. Yep. So because there's not enough lions in the wild, and because of the money, then South Africa, in the Kalahari, northwest province of South Africa, they started the project that they so-called today known as the can lion hunting. So I've had the privilege.
Now you're doing canned, air quotes for listening. So why?
So I'll break it down. So how it works for us for the lion hunters. So the thing is there's not enough lions, number one. So you have a lot of sport people that wanted to shoot lions. So in the wild, I can only bait and have the animal come towards the bait, because tracking a lion in the wild is that if the terrain, most of the places, the terrain's not suitable. So I can only track it to a certain point, and then you lose the track.
Okay.
So even if it's the best tracker in the world, there's too much grass, too much rock, so you can't really track a lion realistically. I mean, if it's an ideal situation, it's a river creek and it was close to the bait, then I can walk about the yard back, you can catch up to it. But I can't actually say, okay, here's track, now we track it from here, we're going to chase it. Because they cover too much ground. A lion will go almost 40 Ks a day. So they cover a lot of ground. Wow. And they'll take a nap during midday and then active, but they're more active at night time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is insane. So you're kind of connected with some famous lion hunts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to kind of dive into that a little bit because, you know, from us being an American, we heard I mean, obviously it was, we'll jump in. Let's just start with Cecil. So the famous lion, right? I would love, and, you know, we were kind of talking the other night and you kind of brought it up, but I would just love to hear the backstory. So here in the States, I mean, was he a dentist? And he was painted as this, they slipped into this national park and crossed borders and shot this pet lion that had had all these females with it and all this stuff, right? But you kind of said that he was a problem lion, and then he had a brother as well.
Yeah.
And that one got you in some trouble at the same time. So let's start with Cecil. Let's kind of get this. You're not going to go full. I mean, I'm sure it's a long story, but I would love to hear your version, because obviously you had a permit to hunt, and he was coming over.
So pretty much we owned the concession where Cecil got shot. Actually, was probably 200 yards from our camp. So
really,
we were the ones owning the concession, running the concession. So that's why immediately everybody put the connection and said it had to be us. So how it worked in that area, it was private land that gets government or tax from national parks, and that all these properties pretty much border the Wanky National Park.
Okay.
So it's not big farms. The farms is probably about, I want to say, like 8,000 acre farms.
Okay.
A few of them together, and then they give these guys, let's say, 4 lion tags a year and maybe 8 leopard tags a year, and then they get other quota and stuff also given to them. So what happens is, right across from us, where this hunting block is, there's a rail line, and that's the boundary. So you have the Wanky National Park,
and a railroad track.
You have a railroad track, and then you have hunting land.
Literally, a train track is separating the border between tourists and hunting.
Correct.
Okay.
So that creates a monster by itself, but it's 2 different companies, and I mean, they both do what they want to do. So the private landowners, they wanted to hunt, they get their quota, and they hunt. So opposite from us is a well-known place. It's called the Hide. It's a photographic area, a beautiful part of Africa, really nice for photographic. And that's where a lot of people fall in love with the lions, because there they drive the safari vehicles, see the lions, take pictures, and then give them names. That's where the name thing comes from. Yeah.
So you as the hunters, or you're on your farms. Yeah. Clearly, you're not naming things. This is coming from across the railroad track with the tourists that are coming.
Correct.
And they name a lion so people can come back every year. And
so remember, for them, the more they build it up. So remember, they make their money, because the more they push that type of stuff, that's how they get money to protect these lions. But they know very well that there's a hunting block next door, and these lions, any lion can get shot, because they're all wild lions.
Got it.
This is now what people remember. They want us to hunt wild lions. So now we're in the area, we hunt wild lions.
Completely legal.
A few of these lions, through organizations like Dallas Safari Club, they have donated to do research. So vets went in, dotted a few lions, put collars on them to see how far they go,
ranges,
what they up to have a day-to-day basis, and then pretty much funded and supported. So we as hunters actually created that. That's so now,
ironic,
through the research, the guys gave it names. So now they drive around with a book and they have all these names for all these lions, and they try to figure out where to go. But I mean, there's a lot of lions I don't even know about, because the area is just too big. I mean, you're in wild places. So then we had scenario where we had 4 lion tags granted that year. So I had a good relationship with the people from the hide. I mean, it's my neighbors. I'm operating there, but I'm as South African hunting, and I told them, I said, listen, I know there's a lot of politics, and I don't want to get involved in that, but what animals do you guys don't want us to shoot? Because we're going to be right next door, and I'm also, run a big farm in South Africa. I said, I don't want to...
You're not trying to have enemies,
I said, but hard reality is, neither you or me is going to stop the hunting. Parks gave the permit. If it's not me hunting, it's going to be somebody else. So at least with me, I'll try and work together with you guys.
Yeah.
So pretty much Cecil was the one they told me they don't want to get shot. So, but Cecil at that point was an old lion. I mean, he was really getting a stage of life. He's old. So I respected it. I told him, listen, I get it. But I mean, Cecil had a lot of offspring by then. So
been around a while, yeah.
All the genetics all over the place. They've got beautiful lions. Probably some of the most prettiest lions you're going to find all of Africa is in that part of the Wankie National Park. So then I just finished guiding a elephant hunt. So we did a elephant with a bow. Okay. And we shot in that area, because that area you're not allowed to bow hunt if it was on concessions, but on private land you're allowed to bow hunt. So we got tags that year. We shot an elephant. Client shot it with a bow, and then didn't make a good shot, and it ran off. We tracked it and we shot it in the area, and not too far from the park. I mean, because those palms, like I just told you, it's not massive blocks.
Yeah.
So shot it, ran, ended up killing it not too far from the park, but it's still within, I want to say, probably a few hundred yards from the railway. So we cleaned up.
Close enough to be able to smell the
We
carcass.
clean up, we do everything, and I mean, it's totally legal to bait. You're allowed to bait. So we shot the elephant, cleaned everything up. But because it's such a big carcass, I mean, you can only clean up
so much
to a point. So there was probably something left. So pretty much I drove out the next day because the safari finished. The client's happy, everything good. We had a good safari, and I'm out. I used to control most of it, but I didn't own all the tags. These tags go up for auction, and then pretty much who buys it has it. So I think that year I had 2 tags, and I did my 2 lions, and I, didn't shoot any of the ones that they asked me not to. So everything good, and I never shot one with a collar. But to come back to the collars is, if you shoot one with a collar, parks just ask you to take it back. Because, I mean, the collar's worth a bunch of money, so they want you to hand it in and say, listen, okay, this cat was shot. I shot the lion I was supposed to. He's all enough, big enough, and age, because it's all about age. But there's no name. Remember, even in parks, they don't know a name.
Yeah.
They just will talk about a name just because of everybody in areas started it. So pretty much I went out, and there was another company that came in, and they had a tax out. Works with the tax system. There was Lupani area, then Kwai area, different areas, and every area has their own tags.
Okay.
So on that specific deal, there was a Lupani tag that, because they knew there were big lions in our area, and that's why it made such a big headline, because it wasn't an illegal hunt, but it was also not 100% according to what it was supposed to. They pretty much used one tag for another area's tag. And that's where it pretty much blew up. So then they came in, wounded the lion. They went and finished it off.
So they wounded Cecil.
They wounded Cecil with a bow, and then he was wounded, and then they went the next morning and tracked it, and then they shot him and they finished him off, and that was, like I said, on our area. So the next moment, I'm still driving back home, and I was going back to Zim a few days later. So I just heard, okay, they shot a lion, and immediately, because when I left the area, I actually saw Cecil eating on the carcass. And I said, yeah, he's a beautiful cat, but he's old. It's really a time getting an old cat. And normally when the lions get to that stage, they just go downhill. So it's actually a great cat
for sure
to shoot, because he's not going to try and kill anything else. It's at the end of his lifetime. So it's actually for a trophy.
He's planted a seed. He's the perfect trophy.
Correct. So then I got back a few days later, and then I heard a lion got shot. And I immediately, when I heard a lion got shot, and they said, no, and I knew. I just quickly put 2 and 2 together, and then
What was your gut feeling then? Were you just like, oh fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
It's about to go down.
I knew, because remember, I did have a good talk to these guys, and I told them. But the company I hunted was a Zimbabwe company, and it was their own people. So remember, me as a South African owning the land or releasing the land from them, that's why we played by the book, because you
Oh,
don't want
absolutely.
any trouble.
They can take it away.
As they snuck in, caused trouble, and then went back out. But I can tell you now, the poor client probably had no clue how all of this worked. I mean, he just thought he's hunting, because on paper everything would have looked fine.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't know where he's at.
But the thing is because of all the politics in that area with the hunting of the lions, they don't want us to shoot lion, because you have that beautiful
Tourism
area there. But again, they don't control it, because in an area like, or a country like Zimbabwe, it's their lion, it's their people. So you're allowed to run your photographic as a foreigner or whoever owns it. So you get your business, they don't ask questions. Neighbor can't tell you what to do, can't say, these private land, you can't tell them what to do. It's their tag, they can shoot it. So then, so the guy that worked in my garden is the guy that actually threw Cecil's collar away. So
They threw it away?
Yeah, so one of the mistakes, or one of the things they did, is they shot the lion, and then the collar went, there was a pond, and they threw it in the pond. And I think it was probably water resistance, and then they were able to trace it, and then found that the collar was there. That's the last place Cecil was, and then they knew that a lion was shot, so they put 2 and 2 together. And then to break the news, remember, for them, they make their money by causing scenes and drama. So when they found out what happened in that area, it blew up in Europe, it blew up in the
U.S.,
States.
blew up every worldwide.
Yeah.
And you are in the center,
So I'm right in the mix of
middle of
everything,
all of this.
Because everybody, when they say who's on the opposite side, it came back to ourselves. So I got a lot of phone calls asking, did you? I said, listen, I've shot a lot of lions and I've done a lot of things, but I did not shoot and hunt Cecil. I did not. But, through magazines, through whatever the media wants to make, I mean,
PETA.
own mission, you just got blamed for everything. So they just wanted to blow it up. The bigger they blow it up, the bigger they just want to stop big game hunting now, pretty much. So then I got, phone calls from the Zimbabwe Hunters Association, got calls from all over to ask what happened. And the more I told the guys, ask your own. I said, listen, guys, I operate here, but this one was not on us. So I said, let them explain to you guys how it all went down. But that pretty much created, one of the big things. I mean, that was, you guys, you felt it this side. It was a big deal, felt sorry for the client. It was just completely ripped out.
And then they shut down lion for a while over there, didn't they?
So then they put the farm that we were on, the farm was called Antoinette, so they put Antoinette pretty much on hold. So they said no more hunting because of what they've done now. Because again, they didn't do something completely illegal. It wasn't.
But it wasn't.
So it's one of those grey areas. You can understand their side, but if it comes to, and like I said, that's where the responsibility comes firsthand. If you go hunt those type of places, you need to know. You need to know what you're doing. If they tell you can't shoot 200 yards from the boundary, you don't shoot 200 yards. Do that because you push your luck.
Do you think they did it like on purpose, just because it was such, not on purpose, but like they just waived all care because obviously it's your name on it, and it was such a beautiful lion, in a way, trophy lion, that they were just like, fuck it, and we're just gonna do it anyways, like just slip in, slip out. But
I think a lot of those hunting companies are, especially in those areas, because you don't own it. So, we managed it because we had access to a lot, so we tried to control it. So there was areas in the back I didn't control, but the animals next to the park that's where the politics comes in. But a lot of the tags then from the back get used to the front. So it's just it creates a bad system. So it's just a system that needed to be structured and sorted out. So when we went, we structured it, did pretty well on it. But like I said, it's expensive tags. So and I only had that year, like I said, we had 2 clients. So I did my 2 and the rest I didn't. It's one of those, it's out of my hands. So then that happened. So then I think we just opened back up, and then we shot a lion. Just when it opened back up, I shot a lion with a bow. And because bow hunting is, a lot of people say you can't shoot the big game with a bow. Technology with the bow hunting, where it's
was to now,
it's a completely different ball game.
I
was at some point in my career, I also said no, but it's advanced so much, it's not an animal.
You got grizzly sticks or whatever those ones. I mean, you see those guys that are bearing through the fletchings on a Cape Buffalo and a shoulder shot. So
full metal jackets were great on your big game, and any 2 blades. So there's some great equipment.
So this next lion, bow hunting, which I could only imagine. Bow hunting to me, I have such mixed feelings on bow hunting. I I love archery hunting. I have a love-hate for it. I hate it more than I love it. But there's so many animals wounded because of lack of education when it comes to the proper gear. Guys are used to hunting one species, and then they come to hunt another species, and it's just like these things are just shrugging it off. Do you see a lot of that? Like guys just aren't prepared. Do you check their gear? I mean,
so we try. So every time we book a safari, and that's why I said a lot of detail goes into a safari. A lot of guys think you just book a safari, you show up. The thing is our African animals have they're hard bone structured animals, so they're very tough animals. So if you don't shoot them right, then they're going to keep you busy. So if the equipment, it definitely helps. So we always try and discuss that stuff prior. Some guys listen, some guys don't, and then they learn the hard way because it's not nice. For us hunting, the last thing I ever want to do is win an animal. And I always tell people, for us, I have to shoot the animal down. I've shot so many down. I don't want to shoot anybody's animal down, but I'm not going to have animal suffer. So
absolutely.
You give a hunter the first choice option to do it. If he messes it up, then at some point I take over from the client. I think that's how it should be, and I think that's where a lot of people just don't have, the mindset to step up and tell a guy, listen, even if it's a client, tell him, listen, this is now where I'm going to step in and say, listen, this is how it's working. And that's, I think, our job as a BH is you work with dangerous animals, you work with, sometimes the guys just don't think clearly. And like on a lion hunt, think he's going to get the second shot, at that point it's a life-threatening situation, it's just to keep the guy alive. And that's where the guys don't, they don't think straight.
So in your head, you got a wounded cat, let's say leopard or lion. Client's mindset is, okay, I got to get another shot in it.
It's interesting.
Your mindset is, I have to keep this guy alive because everything is now out the window. You have...
Remember, there's a lot of ego, Bam. So remember, a guy comes, he wants to say, I've done it. It's all about... I think that's where the hunting industry everybody wants to in some way brag. Everybody wants to
the grip and
participate. Yep. Mm-hmm. And the thing is it's great to do that. And like I said, I respect that a lot from a lot of the guys, you're not in that position, so you can support in that position. But a lot of the time, those guys are the worst thing in that position because they don't know how to handle it.
100%.
Yeah.
Because they're not real in a way. They just...
So I'll tell you quick, one of the closest encounters I ever had on a lion hunt, and then I'll get back to the Mupani deal. So we were hunting in Matete, again, hunting lion. And when we hunt lion, it's a big deal. It's
absolutely
a massive deal. So I think I flew in, had my guys, they did pre-baiting again, and then we got there, and I saw a beautiful piece of mane where we had the bait. I looked at them and I said, guys, this is from what I can tell, it's a hell of a cat.
Oh, so it like rubbed or a bunch of hair got pulled out?
In front, so it's almost like a big beard.
Okay.
So your big males have a lot of mane in front. So typically one of the signs is if you go to a tree, you see there's a big black hair hanging there.
It's a good indicator.
It's a good indicator. So we decided to build the setup. We built the setup and was pretty much throughout the whole day. But we put the setup, you cut open, make it as easy and comfortable for the client as you can. We were actually hunting rifle this time around. So everything set up perfectly. We all got in the blind. It was myself, cameraman, Zim PH, another friend of mine, and the client. So we were a lot. Normally on a lion hunt, it's a smaller group, but the setup allowed us to have. And that's another thing. A lot of people want to participate, so it's always a tough one. You can be the guy to say, I only want one guy on the hunt, but you take away from a lot of the guys too. So again, it's a call you make, and you speak to the team and decide how you're going to do it. So we sat, and we did not sit for, I swear it wasn't 5 minutes. And this is run about, let's say it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Which never...
Yeah, I mean, they can come quick, but I mean, that's ridiculous. So this lion, what he did is he was feeding just a little off. Watch us the whole day, run around, build blind, get the setup ready, and that cat is, they're normally close. I mean, they're within half a mile,
So when you're building these blinds, are you kind of like, are you doing
over your shoulder the whole time? That's the thing, they're not far.
Yeah.
So then we, got everything ready. Blind, we're just still one of those, you get in the blind, still unpacking, still unzipping, getting everything ready. The next moment, I just look in front, I see the line walk, probably, it wasn't 7 yards in front of us, just
didn't care
from right to left. And I'm so shocked because I'm like, this thing's so close. I'm still trying to grab.
You're trying to process what's going on.
Guys, listen, this thing, what we wanted is just past us. And then I didn't see him again. So then I heard the baboons and everything go crazy to the left. And then I just told everybody, listen, we just sit. So I said, this thing knows we're here. He's watched everything we've done. So he knows where the door of the thing is, he knows everything. So I said, we are screwed in this blind, but this is a beautiful cat. We have to sit and let's just hope he doesn't come from behind or whatever and, get it right. So this cat shows up, probably was just past, I want to say, very close to about 5. I hear the baboons go berserk, and because it's dead quiet, and all of a sudden, all the birds, everything just stopped, and you don't hear them because they're so stealthy and so smooth how they come in. So I just heard the baboons, so that's indicated that something's, coming. And then I heard a bush buck in the distance also bark, so I'm like, there's action.
So animals are barking, kind of giving the sign.
They know the guys around. So all of a sudden, when I looked, I just saw him again now he's coming from left to right. So he's between the blind and the tree. I want to say the setup was probably at 40 yards, because we don't want to shoot too far. Although the guys have big scope and everything, the closer you can do it.
Yeah,
I like to be close.
It takes a lot of error out.
It's also, it's a intimidating feeling to be that close to a lion.
Oh, 100%.
Shooting it at 100 yards, shooting it at 30 yards, 40 yards is just, it's a completely different ballgame. So wanted to make this nice, wanted to set up close. So we literally at 40 yards, this thing came in again at about, I want to say 13 yards, not where it's supposed to come out. So there he stands.
Pause real quick, hold on. So you have a lion standing at 13 yards.
Yeah.
How are you level? So this, I can imagine a lion's back's got to be...
So a lot of these cats, they can be anything from 450 to 600 pounds.
And it's right there.
It's right there. So this time around, he's like a 45-degree angle, looking at the meat, and his butt is towards the blind. But his head, he knows. Because he checked it out.
His tail.
He was going on. So he's standing there, and I, pretty much tapped me and the Zimpiates looked at one another like, this is, and I pushed the client and said, listen,
game time.
This is it.
Yeah, get ready.
And the guy's scope was set up for 40, so now a lot of changes has to happen, and it's close. So this thing is pretty much, you got everything sorted. And I remember, and I never do this in a blind. I don't know why, but I don't like whistling and hunting as much. But every now and again, as a guide, we
get the
can be the best thing you've ever done,
or your worst enemy. Yeah.
The cat's there, you get an angle that I don't like, and I know I can be patient and it can come up, but you're also facing, it's getting darker.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of things, and then we only have.
And plus, you don't want to sit there for.
Correct. So now, pretty much, I made the call. I asked the guy, "Are you ready?" And he said, "Yes." I asked the camera guy, "They're ready. Everybody's ready." So then, pretty much in that moment, I told it, and I whistled. So this lion turns around broadside and just stared us like straight into the blind. And I told the guy, "You better shoot it now," because it's that distance that in a few seconds you can just bombard thing. And this blind we built is just grass. So it's literally grass.
So there's no frame to it.
It's like a 1-inch thick grass little thingy around you, and covered in little.
So you're sitting in a cardboard box
pretty much,
with grass wrapped around. You got a lion at 13 yards.
He whacked it, and the lion jumped up, but the moment he shot it, we saw it was low, like too low.
So you're fucked instantly.
So immediately it started roaring. So then they bite to where the arm is, and that thing you can imagine at 12, 13 yards what it sounds like.
Loud.
Things going berserk, and it's just a big commotion off to the side. So I'm sitting there now. We covered in the blind. I only have the holes in the front, so we don't have holes on the side. Now he's to the left of us. Now we can't see him anymore, but I can hear him. And at some point, there was a lot of the guys that was with me were bigger guys and older guys. So a lot of them can't get up, and they're just slow going. So I'm yelling and I'm saying, "Can you see it?" And I'm trying to tell them, get another shot in it.
Yeah.
Because, I don't think the one we did first is going to kill it. That's probably the worst thing you want to do, is shoot a lion in the forearm. So I heard the commotion. At some point I realized, but nobody's going to do anything. So then there was a tree to the right of the blind that I built, and another one, but it's two thin trees. So I had my 470 Blaser double rifle with me. So literally jumped up these two trees. But again, there's nothing to climb with. It's just balance. So I just literally stepped on the one on the other to get height so I could see it. So now I'm standing in this thing and I can see the lion. And I'm like, well, I need to make a call now. So the client's at the bottom. I'm like, you guys need to shoot it. And he says, I can't see it. And I said, well, I can shoot it. Do you want me to shoot it? And I told the guy, but if I shoot it, I'm probably going to fall from the tree.
You're shooting double barrel.
pushing, and that push will be enough to let me make a nice little slide here. I've got water, then that's done. So amazingly, actually, when I saw it and I shot at it, then I knew, okay, I'm going. And as I shot, actually, the tree just bended like backwards and pushed me right back in the same nice position. So I'm like, okay,
But still have a tree. I was still on the tree.
Yeah, I saw the tree. So then I shot a second one and I knocked it down. So then I'm reloading and I'm in the tree again, goes back. Now I'm getting used to this thing. It's actually working really nice. So I load it back up and I see him make a commotion. I see off he goes. So that part of the wall, you have a lot of flays. So there's a lot of tall grass.
Okay.
So and there's a big island.
Is that the elephant grass or where you guys? Okay.
Yeah. So pretty much if I stand on the back of my Land Cruiser or on the roof, I'm told that grass is even taller than myself standing on the top of my roof. So it's really tall grass. So I'm like, oh great, there it runs. So I watched it run. So I told the guys, I said, okay, well, I know the client shot low. I said, I don't really know where I hit it, but yeah, he's up and he's running. So I said, that's also not a good sign. So now it's big commotion in that blind. So I finally climbed down. I told the guys, I said, listen, I said, I don't know if you guys know it, but I said, now we've got ourselves into big shit. I said, there's no other word to describe it. I don't have to tell you. I said, but now this is not a nice scenario.
It just got real.
Because it's almost starting to get dark. It's a leg shot and it's me shooting it while it's moving. So, I mean, I can also through the grass just get glimpses. So I just, whatever I could see, shot at it. And like I said, knocked it down and I thought it was good. And then it got up. I'm like, oh, that's not good. So now we're down there debating. Get the team together and now you're in that tall grass. Because that's the thing in those places is you hunt these lions in the thickest stuff. Yeah. So you don't want to hunt there, but that's where that lion wants to be. He wants to eat the meat there. He doesn't want to go to the nice open place.
You're going to him.
To shoot, so you're going to him. And that's his den, so he knows. So we got everybody together, got the trackers, got everybody, and I told my trackers, I said, guys, I said, this is not good today. I said, we're going to have to go slowly, and in this tall grass, we're going to have to find this lion. I said, there's no other way to do this. And the guys are like, can we drive with the truck a little? I said, guys, you can drive with the truck, but it's a blood trail. We have to take the blood trail. I said, where are you going to find this thing? And he's not going to jump out. I said, if he's going to lie down and
drive past it.
So my one buddy was with me. He said, Philip, there's no way I'm going after this thing. Because now reality kicks in. I mean, and he's also a guide with a lot of experience, but this is, like I said, the worst thing you can probably happen as a guide, because now it's dark, you're facing a big ass lion that you know you've seen him, and now it comes a factor you have to keep everybody safe, and going in there it's not safe. I mean you're screwed just going in there,
and it's not if somebody's gonna get, it's who
correct
it's gonna get.
So I've got my kids back home. So when I was younger I didn't give a damn. The moment you had kids, now I'm like, I have to. So every time I look at it I'm like, I have to send this guy back to his wife. I have to, so I can't have anybody get hurt. So I had a little brief meeting. Then I told the guys, I said, listen, just bring me that camera. Let me just see the thing in slow-mo. I said, because I'm going to make one of the hardest calls now as a guide. Thing is, I can leave that cat overnight, but he dies, hyena gets all of it, you lose that whole trophy. So now I have to come up for my client, and pretty much the right thing is to leave it and go collect it in the morning. That's the smart thing and the right thing to do, what a normal guy would do. But then you get guys like yourself, you like your client and you go way and beyond to try and help this guy, because there's nothing worse when you shove the next day and that whole skin screwed up.
Yeah.
So I had a debate with the guys and I said, okay, well, we're gonna look at the video, said, you know what, it actually looks better than I thought. I said, so I'm gonna gamble this cat's dead. I said, that's just that's how I'm making. If this thing's alive, we pretty much screwed. If it's dead, I made the best call. So we started, and now me and my buddy, we walk with the client, but he yells at my client like he's a kid. So I call my buddy closer. I said, listen, stop freaking out. I said, I understand you don't want to be here. And I said, I know the emotions are running high, but yelling, giving everybody, I said, you're making this, I'm not going to deal with that. So I said, you go to the back and sort yourself out, or you come and walk next to me and you get your shit together now. Because the camera guy, bless his heart, I don't know how the camera guys do it. They also, like the trackers, they have nothing in their hands, but they're there. And they'll be the first ones giving the step. So normally when you face lions like that, if something, come at you or whatever, it happens quick. So these guys have no time to get out of the way. And I mean, they rely on you to shoot it, and that's it. So these guys are in front, crawling like almost hound dogs to try and track it. and you behind them, and you have to protect them. So they trusted you.
You got trackers on their hands and knees.
Pretty much, yep.
Going through elephant grass on the blood, and so they're looking down, and you're over their back.
And you pretty much like in a V right behind them, so you have the client to the right and you to the, and then you go. And pretty much these trackers, that's why I said it's so amazing how they put their trust in you, because they have nothing.
Do they actually trust you, or is it like that's their only source?
I think they love it so much what they do, and because I think they hate the lions so much as well that they
want to see it.
Deal for them.
Yeah,
they part of it, or come back home and the lion's on the back of a truck. It's a massive thing for them. So
I had no idea this is how it's done.
But the terrain's terrible. I mean, this is the worst of the worst. The thickest shit, tallest grass, just
you're batting 1,000.
And like I said, the worst thing is daytime. Now the daylight's go.
Fading, yep.
So it's almost like that. Now, oh shit, we have to grab some torches now. So here you are. It's getting dark, so I can't see with my normal eyesight anymore. I'm screwed. So now it's 2 torches. So I'm like, now it becomes even. Now we multiply the risk with even more. Now we're going in the dark.
Because now your flashlight can see 10 yards. I mean, probably not even that.
So here we go, and we take the tracks a little bit. So I think we're about 200 yards into this thing, and normally if you don't find it within that, the indicator is still alive. So I'm like, oh shit, this is not good.
So you've gone past as far as you want.
So I'm like, normally we push the limit to say, listen, we come back tomorrow, because now we've done what we needed to, and it's slow. And at some point I told them, I said, guys, listen, let's just push another, I can't remember if it was 50 or 70 yards or whatever.
Which probably takes you a while in that grass. They're on their hands and knees. So going 100 yards,
exactly. It takes a long time.
A couple hour at least.
So it went from the flay, then it went to a big island. So the island just have more thicker stuff. So now it's like you're literally crawling like a leopard in there to try and just move. So the trackers go, I'm also crawling. So I can't stand anymore. I'm also on my hands and knees, and now it's little by little. So you go. So at some point they lost the track, and the trackers crawled slightly to the left, but I keep them all, very close together. But they lost it for just a little. So I'm also crawling around there on my all fours to figure out where the track is. So also tracking that I normally wouldn't do, but now we're getting later, and I know it's just a few yards to push. So I'm like, I want to get this shit done.
You can literally just look, and there could be a lion face to face with you at any moment.
You know what happened to me being clever. So now we keep going slowly, and the next moment when they lost the track, now I get impatience, because that's typically now the thing. Now I know better, but again, now I'm going to trust my instinct. I'm like, I'm going to find this thing through this thicket so we can just get into the hopefully open again, or I'm going to find him in this thicket. But if it's going to be somebody, I said, well, let it be me, because I have the gun with me, and I've been in a few situations before, so I'm like, I'm probably the best thing out there to hopefully get the job done. But I knew if I'm going to shoot, it's probably no time to aim or whatever. But I just, the whole time I believe this cat's dead. The whole time in myself, I told myself it has to be. So I feel like I'm down for some shit. I mean, I've done some dumb stuff in my life where I was like, one or the other, I'm coming out a hero or dead, right? But, and I feel like I'm that guy that's always just, I'm in. Like, hey, this is what we, okay, cool. I never, but this situation, I'd be like, do we
got a sat phone? Like, I'm gonna call the wife real quick. Let the kids know I love them, because, like, it's in any moment you've gone past what your comfort zone of tracking them. It's on this thick island. Everybody's on their hands. How many guns are there at this?
So we had 3 guns.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, in that situation, is because it's so thick, even if I have 7 guns, I'm not any safer. It's almost the more guns there is, the worse, because then you risk the chance of people.
Which I want to get into after, once we find this line. I want to, because I know things could get wild.
I pretty much, the team, we were crawling around, and then we had a final discussion with them, and I said, guys, listen, my gut tells me we need to go a little bit more. I said, everything tells me I shoot it. But I said, my gut honestly tells me I must.
What are they thinking?
So they look back at me. If the boss said we go, we go.
Yeah.
It's that type of thing. So I told them, I said, I love you guys dearly, but I said, if you guys tell me, I said, let's just push a little bit. So I crawled, and they left. I think I'm probably about, not far, it sounds like crawling is far, but I mean, this is literally like 5 yards from where I left them.
Yeah.
I crawled to the front. And as I crawled to the front, I remember I think my flashlight was in my mouth, and I remember I came up, and where I put my double in my hand, I put it on the lion's face. That was the first time I saw this cat, was when I put my hand on it. So the cat was dead. I didn't know it at the time, right? So this thing, I crawled, and I swear, I'm like still looking around. I'm like looking for the blood trail, and I remember I gave that one, and my torch went from where I was looking, just a little ways up. And the moment it went up, and I put my hand, I was still in the motion to put my hand, and literally I touched the what do you call it? The
muzzle, cheeks.
Yeah, what's that
Snout?
here there?
Oh, the whiskers.
The whiskers. So I literally went and I touched the whiskers hand first, and then I like immediately when I touched it, I can pull back, and I'm like, oh shit, and the next moment the cat's lying there. So at that moment, I mean, there was no time to shoot. I mean,
You were done. If it was alive,
there was alive. I mean, there was no chance. So that was my first time I saw it, was when I put my hand on top of his whiskers.
Oh my!
And then I literally just rolled to the side, just glad I'm alive. And then the trackers, everybody's like, what's going on? I said, oh my word, I think I think I'm 10 years older.
Oh,
and
100%.
then, yeah.
You took lives off.
So they all, and I started yelling. I said, no, he's here. I said, we got him. I said, everything's fine. So then just made sure, got everybody together. It was a huge celebration. Everybody's super happy. But yeah, like I said, it was a good call at the end of the day. But if that thing was alive, and that was the decision we made earlier, I knew going in there, if this thing was alive, I had no chance. But
oh my God! So a leopard, real quick, we'll wrap this. I know we've been talking some stories. I could talk with you all day. This is the stuff I love. But a leopard. So the difference between a wounded lion and a wounded leopard. You were saying when we were at dinner that a lion will pick someone out.
Yep.
And when it hits them, that's it.
Yeah.
Like
and he will let you know he's coming. So the nice thing with a lion is, although it's not nice, but at least he has
some sort of heads up.
He will roar and he'll come. So at least you know he's coming.
So you have time to sometimes at least.
Yeah. So that's only the nice thing that comes from his side, is he lets you know he's coming.
But when he's coming, is it the first person when he comes out of that grass?
So normally I always tell people, I said, there's the guy that shot him. That's the one he wants to bite.
I've heard this, and that's
and now he will pick in a crowd of his 7 guys. He's most likely 99% of the time going to pick the guy that shot him. How they know it or how it works,
they got to sense the fear because they know.
Yeah.
So, but a leopard.
A leopard bites everybody.
So it just hits hit everybody.
Yeah. And he doesn't let you know he's coming. So a leopard that's the scarier one, because he doesn't let you know he's coming.
So you're just tracking it all.
Tracking all of a sudden, he just runs.
How long is is it just a second or two?
So he's the faster of the cats. So for him, he covers ground ridiculously. I'll send you that whole thing, but it's like split seconds. It's ridiculous.
So a lion is picking you out, and when a lion gets you, it's just pulling you in and just crushing, and then a leopard's just every shredding you.
I always tell people it's like me sitting in the grass, and I'm like, hey bam, and I throw a chainsaw at you, and then you either shoot the chainsaw and you find, or because there's no time, you shoot from the hip. So if you hit it, you're gonna kill it, and if you miss it, then you're gonna get I think they say it's like 100 stitches a second or something. It's something terrible. They don't play. And the thing with the cats are, remember, they bite, they grab, and they kick. So the thing is most of the time these cats are badly wounded, so either the back half doesn't work and they just smack you in the front. And then so if you have a cat that everything works and it gets you, the thing that messes up the guys the most is the back legs, because the back legs jump on top of you and it kicks. So that's where it normally rips
it's just
stomach or something open. It will normally try and bite you in the neck with it, and then the hands goes behind your head, and then they normally like to rip your, pretty much.
And that's in a second or two.
Seconds, yeah. And then he's off, and then he bites the next one or the next one.
Well, you're trying to not shoot the dude that's getting attacked by.
It's too quick. So even if you want it, you can be the best shot in the world. That happens too quick, and because you have grass, it's not an open. This stuff happens in thick stuff. So this cat sneaks. So you just hear there's one going. It's not a good experience, and it's not nice.
That is. So you describe a wounded leopard as if you were tossing a chainsaw.
Yeah. And fake grass that you can't see. That's pretty.
And then all of a sudden, there's just a chainsaw flying at you, and either you shoot the chainsaw or you're getting chewed up.
Yep.
Now, when a lion's on somebody, I mean, then you have to worry about the fact of you as a guide. I have to get to the longer this lion is on my client track,
the more damage is going to
probability of him dying is increasing by the millisecond.
But you also know if you shoot, and that, the thing is, the guy normally gets mauled. He's rolling, kicking, and I mean screaming.
Yes.
And then, so our big thing is not to try and hit the guy. So the best thing for us is we normally run at it, and that's the thing. Not everybody is built for that, so you have to actually run towards where this is happening, and get the barrel in a position that you can actually see where you're shooting, not from a scope, thinking where you're shooting, because at that point, at that distance, you're going to be shooting low, right? So
which your client.
if I'm aiming with a scope or whatever, I'm probably going to shoot low. So if I undershoot, then I shoot my buddy or my friend. So that's why we run as close as we can with the barrel, make sure that I can see, okay, his legs are out of the way, and then you try and...
So when you run up, are you almost kind of getting level with the animal and shooting?
So you're pretty much on catch, you're almost kneeling. You're always very, very low, Because if you stand, that's why we always overshoot it as well. So if they charge at us, a lot of the times you see on videos, the lion charges
the dirt behind them.
It's always because the guys are standing up straight and they're coming too fast. So they aim at the head, that's fine. Because it's moving, they tend to...
So when a cat's charging you, you aim in the skit?
Want to shoot him, and no, so you pretty much the nose. So if he's trying,
but you're following the whole time. Okay.
But I mean, it's quick. So all of the time, people ask me, "Where do I aim?" I said, "I don't know myself. I just know the thing's coming."
It's just your natural.
It kicks in. Yeah.
That is out of. No. I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine being in grass, and then all of a sudden you're just hearing dudes screaming, and it's like your turn's coming. Yeah. Like, are you just sitting? I would be the guy in the back, like, just listening. Bro, that is wild to me, man. That is absolutely insane. That they 100 stitches a second. You said, roughly, on average.
Yeah, and it's not, a lot of the time, even smaller cats. A lot of the guys, they don't shoot the biggest leopard sometimes, and then even the bigger the cat is, the more it's gonna mess you up. But I've seen some not big cats bite the living out of a lot of people.
I'm not trying to compare anything by any means, but there was a guy a few years ago that choked out this little kitten mountain lion on a trail, whatever, in Colorado. And I was like, that cat had to have been sick, right? Mm-hmm. Because people were like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm like, as a kid growing up, we used to go to old barns. There'd be barn cats. You shoot trap them, catch them, whatever. I watched my brother one day. He had this cat cornered, just a regular barn cat, and he grabbed this thing, and it shredded him. And I mean, I couldn't even imagine. I mean, what's an average leopard weigh? 100?
It's probably around about 160.
That's a giant cat.
That's a beautiful cat, yeah. So I would say 140 to about 220 pounds. That's what you're looking at on big cats versus the smaller cats. Yeah. And every area is different.
And it's just an absolute just killing machine.
Yeah.
That's just, man. Last thing real quick. I didn't know I had this obsession with baboons, and until I got to Africa, then I saw my first baboon. It blew my mind. One, how big they were. Things on TV and Discovery Channel, it doesn't translate until when I shot a wildebeest, and then you see these Nile crocs just grabbing these wildebeest, and the wildebeest was like a small cow here, right? It's a decent sized animal, and then you're seeing these crocs just engulf the whole back end of a wildebeest. So then I'm like, okay, you can't fathom how big that is. But then same thing with a baboon. You see them on TV all the time. Then I saw the first baboon. We were driving. We're in the middle of nowhere, and it's just this giant. What I know now is this giant male, and I was dumbfounded by it. But anyways, when I shot my first baboon, was in this creek bed, and it was fascinating to me of how they moved. It was almost militaristic. How every time we'd cross the creek bed, the baboons, they would cross back over. So it was like this cat and mouse game, and they would hide behind these trees, and I'd pull up, and this baboon would literally go behind the tree. It used the tree as I moved. It kept it between us, and it fascinated me. Anyways, They finally come out. They're crossing the just dry creek bed in the big alpha male, right? My buddy's like, wait. He's like, that one. And it has like a swag to it. Like this thing had like, you could tell. And it was down this creek bed a ways. And I just, pull up and I put my crosshairs above it. As soon as I draw down and I let it rip and the thing sits down and grabs its side and it comes out of the riverbank and up. And the PH, my buddy Dempsey, he was like, oh, it's not good, man. It's not good. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, if a baboon gets you, he's like, you can't get it off of you. And he's like, they'll shred you. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, no, this is serious. Like wounded baboon. And all I wanted was baboons at this point. Like I was just tunnel vision. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And we're coming out of this creek bed. And everybody, and it was our first day there. We were filming. So there was a bunch of extra people. And everybody just wanted to hang out and have a good time. I was like, I don't want the red carpet. I just want to be one of the boys when we're there and camp. Bring as many cool people. Let's just have a good time. And I turn around and everybody's got a gun. It's like pistols. I mean, there was a freaking spear at one point. This dude had a rock in his hand. And we're coming out of this creek bed. And right as we start peeking, this baboon was laying in this little divot. And it was like this Navy SEALs, like these dudes everybody's like all rifles up, like everybody's got a weapon in their hand and we're coming up and I'm like, there it is. And we get to like 15, 20 yards so we could see it in this little divot and it's laying there and he's like, whatever you do, don't run, just put a round in it if it gets up. I'm like, yeah, I got you. Well, as we get close to it, it must have like taken its last breath, but this thing's like this. Every dude.
Yeah, wait for him.
No, they start running. They're bailing back, and I look, and I'm the only one standing there, but I was on it, but it didn't get up, so I didn't shoot him. And I don't like his last breath. And I'm like, what the hell? And they're like, oh, sorry, man. I'm like, you sons of bitches. You set me up for this. But yeah, man, it was Africa's a pretty awesome place. If anybody wants to look into booking a hunt, coming to visit, where do we find you?
So the company is called Shadowronga Safaris.
Okay.
And so we have a website and we've got an Instagram.
Cool, man. No, we'll definitely put this all up on there. It was a pleasure getting you on the show. I know you just flew into the States for a little bit. You're about to hit SEI, Dow Safari, hitting some shows, so you'll be here for a little while. So I appreciate the time and the stories. And maybe are you coming back to Boise at all or no?
Probably not. I'll probably be back next year again. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If you do,
no, thank you very much for having me back.
Dude,
I appreciate it.
I appreciate everything, man. It was a pleasure. Travel safe. I know you're flying out to somewhere new tomorrow, and then hopefully we'll come down and see you at the show.
It will be good.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
Real quick, we said our goodbyes, but we started talking really quick, and we had another story that we jumped in the seats. So this is technically Cecil's brother. This is the one that got you in trouble.
Yep. So there was a few famous lions in Wankie National Park because, like I said, they're all beautiful males.
Yeah.
And so Mupani is probably one of the most well-known lions in that area. So
was he colored?
No.
Okay.
He wasn't. Yeah. A lot of people said he was. A lot said he wasn't. So that's why. But it's amazing when we hunt any cat you shoot is that lion. So we always get accused because of
course.
We get accused, and it just makes everything more crazy to fight, I suppose. So what happened is I received a call from the guys on the area telling me, so I told you earlier about the railway. So pretty much they have a team that patrols that railway. So then I received a clip that they told me that a person got killed patrolling this railway, and that was prior to our safari going in. So pretty much I knew that this lion actually ended up killing a person, and they literally found the pants and the boots, and that was it. So normally with the lions as well, if they only do that if they do that, then they get used to it, and then they pretty much...
So once they start hunting humans, then they become a man.
And that's why they're going to go to a village. So this might be a cat that's done it previously or whatever, but this occasion he caught a guy on railway. So I received a message saying, listen, Upani killed somebody, so when you guys come up, please, the guys on the ground would love you to shoot this cat because, pretty much caught their buddy. So then we went and we did a bow hunt. So this was another bow hunt. Okay. Well, I signed up for a bow hunt. And again, just makes it so much, as a bow hunt, it just takes everything again to the next level. So we shot a giraffe, baited, got the cat on bait, cat came in beautifully. My client, first day we couldn't get a shot in. It came and drank water and snuck in. I mean, beautiful. We're sitting there in the blind, and it's this beautiful pond in Africa. And the next moment, here comes this big cat just after 6, just coming in, drinking water across the pond. Drank his water, and normally they would come straight to the bait. He didn't even look at the bait, just drank water and he winked. So I'm like, the guy said, do we say? I said, listen, we're not set up to shoot a little bit later, whatever. I said, listen, let's just get out of here. We'll come back. So the next day we had to set up. Lions showed up at 4 o'clock, just past 4.
Okay.
This big boy came in with his group. And again, we normally don't shoot in prides. But on this occasion, because we knew this lion was the lion that
just killed somebody.
That was the one we were targeting, and we knew there was a lot of other beautiful males that can take.
Not only just killed somebody, just ate somebody.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So we had this set up, had a blind setup. Me and the client and the professional hunter was sitting, the Zimpi agent also sitting in the blind. Lions came in from, like I said, from 4 o'clock, but the male never, we saw him, but he never came to where he needed to be. And remember, on lion hunt, we want everything to be perfect. Because, like the previous story, you don't want that to happen. We want to have a nice clean shot right where we can see the thing.
Lessons were learned from before.
Like we wanted to die nicely, and we don't want to put ourselves in a bad position. So what ended up happening is the cat came in, I think it was just past 7. So we had those green lights or kill lights set up. So the cat came in perfectly, beautifully. And I mean, I think it was 24 yards. And we had the client aim at it. I told him, I said, listen, this is as close as you're going to get to a wild lion. It doesn't get much better than this. So anytime you're ready, you're going to take your shot. So he shot, and I think he shot just to, when you shoot with a bow, it just, the limb hit the blind because it's in the dark. So it clipped it. And then the arrow jumped up just a little high. So he just shot it just too high. So the moment it hit it, I'm like, oh my, this also doesn't look.
Did he have Luminox on it so you can see?
He did.
Okay,
So
okay.
I saw the Luminox, and I'm like, I mean, we were shooting a little bit towards down. We were an elevated blind.
Yep.
Because again, sitting on ground with lions is also a different,
Yeah, you can do
Then he can be higher up, is just nicer. So shot from that angle. It wasn't crazy about the shot, but the lion got up and it ran off. So remember, the park is very close to us also there. So let's say we were 500 yards from the rail line.
Yep.
So I knew this lion can run straight back into the park. So I told the client, doesn't help if you push this cat. I said, this cat, either you shot this thing and it's going to be dead if you clipped it. So I'll go a little bit. But if we don't see blood or don't see anything, my recommendation is pull out and we redo tomorrow, because now it comes down. I know you hit it, so we're all in agreement, but I don't know if you clipped any
laws
or anything.
Yeah.
So we pushed it a little bit. I saw the lion. And again, now this is one of the tough calls as well. Me and the Zimpi have to decide that we shoot it down. And we drove and saw the lion. But now it's a bow hunter. He would like to have a bow kill on the highest rank. So now realistically, I'm like, we have to shoot it down. That's the one thing.
Yeah.
But I knew, again, that the shot wasn't as good as he thought it was. So I was pretty sure that it was just a flesh wound. That was my take on it. And I told him, I said, again, I'm going to be either the hero or a 0 if I make this score, but full out, we redo tomorrow. So we came back in the morning, found the giraffe leg ripped off, and normally it's chains and stuff, you can't rip it off. So when I saw that, I told him, I said he was back. I just can't tell him when and what. And when I looked to my left, I saw him, and he ran off like nothing's wrong with him. So I told the guy, I said, listen, we're just going to go back and we're going to redo this whole same thing. But I have to report within 24 hours of shooting a big game animal. We have to report to national parks.
Wounded or
not. Report to national parks, then everybody gets involved. So remember, we're now at this place where everybody, I mean, you don't even shoot it yet, then you're already on the front page. So I knew if we now make this call and tell everybody, everybody's going to get involved. And I mean, they're not going to get a chance with a bow again.
Mm-hmm.
So me and the Zimpi had a discussion, and we both agreed that let's give it one shot. And then, if anything happens, we'll shoot it down. And we sat, I think the group came in again around about 5, but then no sign of the male. And then probably, I think it was literally about the time we shot it the previous day, like within 5 minutes in that time frame.
Really?
That thing came came in.
Back.
And same place, same setup. So I told the guy, well, listen, this is your moment. And I looked at the time.
You're doing a lot of...
We have like 10 minutes to report. We shot this thing in any case. You better shoot
Really?
quick. So the cat stood and he made his shot and again clipped that thing again.
Oh,
Shot high again, but luckily this time he clipped his spine. So then that big lion went set up straight and it made all the noise but couldn't go anywhere. So then we just went down and shot it.
put it up with him, yeah.
But then to try and load that cat with the others being around, it was, like I said, it's some intense stuff that takes place when you have to load it, because you have this big cat and nobody wants to get off the truck to help you load it.
Because you have this perch?
Yeah, because you have, the line
surrounded by their...
is there.
Now, are they super territorial? Like if a male gets killed, because like how baboons, like they went crazy, like some of the things...
So they protect their area, and I mean, they want to know what's wrong, so they pretty much stick their ground. So, but the thing is, at the end of the day, Mupani was not the lion we shot. We shot a beautiful cat that was right in its prime. I think he probably took the pride over from Mupani, because Mupani again was getting an old cat.
Got it.
But because he's such a well-named cat, a known cat, I could have shot him if I saw him, but this was a much better cat to shoot because this was the one that they wanted me to go after. But they named them Mupani, and that was the one they wanted me to shoot. So then we shot it, everything above board, no problems, perfectly. I was not even back in camp yet. Then I received calls that Mupani got wounded. Mupani did this, we baited the thing out, names all over the...
So the whole...
That's when Josh called me and said, I'm all over PETA. I said, what am I doing on PETA? I said, I shot a lion in Africa, like a lot of other lions get shot every day. I said, like every time gets special treatment when I shoot a lion in Africa. Man, it was a beautiful cat, beautiful hunt, and then I wrote all the articles, but
that was the man-eater, the one that you killed was the man-eater.
That was the one.
But they just named it.
Correct. And like I said, so that side of the world, you are a hero. Everybody's so grateful, so thankful.
Our side of the world, you're the villain.
I'm the baddest thing that ever happened on planet Earth, because how do I dare shoot a lion?
How long was it before because when you're in the anti's crosshairs, they're ruthless, and they're just relentless. How long? Because I haven't made it on PETA, and I don't plan on it, but I get put in some anti-hunting groups, and man, they come at you from from the time that first question, how the hell did they already have the story before you made it back to camp?
So the thing is, in that area, because you're right next to that photographic camp, so again, we're surrounded with photographing. So I think the trackers go to camp.
They're all talking.
Say, we shot
and they're buddies, even though they're working
they
for...
want to blow it up, and then they hope that our paperwork or something is not in place. So like this is so a deal that it gives them reason to jump on it. Because I mean, it's already stressful when you hunt those things. You want it to be perfect. Yeah. And then the nice thing is we ended up killing that beautiful lion with an ethical kill with a bow.
Everything legal.
Everything was above board. So every article they ever wrote, anything, it's the funniest thing. They like, this one got shot, blah, 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 the whole story right at the end, but it was a legal hunt. I'm like, well, why the hell did they write an article about it then? I mean, it's just another day in Africa. That's what it is.
Another day in Africa. But how long, how about, like, I mean, you've gone through it enough. Is it a week? You just got to like lay low for a week? Or is it
honestly the most precious probably that first week, but it's like any publicity, for us, if they go at you, but it's actually, I've received so many calls of guys that wanted to hunt lion.
Oh, for sure. Great marketing.
Offhand, that's like, you get a call, a guy says, oh, you're terrible and wish you die or whatever. And the next day you get a guy that says, please, this is my lifelong dream. Can I please do this?
I want a lion just like that.
Different type of people.
Yeah.
Like I said, for us, it's actually, for me, the greedies do me a favor when they go for us, because they literally push the marketing for us. And the thing is, it doesn't matter how we do it, you're never going to stop it.
No.
Africa's always going to hunt. Africa's always going to have their lions, but they have to manage it, and that's why those decisions come from on top. But we just do what we're told, and you just make sure you do it right. That's the only thing we can do.
Yeah.
Name, no name. A lion is a lion, it's a wild lion. That's what it is. That's what it's intended to.
It's the names. It's the names that get you.
Why would you give it a name that everybody gets excited?
All downhill from there.
Yeah.
Oh man, well thanks again, dude. We wanted to hear that story, so you were playing that voice.
Do you want me to play that?
Yeah, I'll have you send it to me too. But yeah, we'll put it in here. And the guy's just
you can hear it.
he's just so relaxed. Mopani, he ate a railroad worker. That's hilarious. Well, cool, man. I know you got to fly out, but I really appreciate the time again. And then I'd love to have you back on next time you're back in the States. Let's. I'm sure you'll have some new stories. Thanks, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Philip. There's no problem. You'll do as you said. There's a sad news in this side. Mopani have killed a person into our farm there. The person works at railways. He was checking the railway line, then was killed the day before yesterday by Mopani lion. Thank you.